Okay. Uh, right. I just see a black screen, so that's concerning. Oh, no, yeah, we got an image. We got image. Okay. Um, now we have to wait for people to realize that the new stream has started, and therefore they need to come across to this because I fucked up. Uh, that was fun. Because I started the stream on my phone, it made it a mobile stream, and then it just was really difficult to get OBS to start on it because it just really didn't want to do it. But let's see what happens from there. Uh, I guess I just start running the stream as normal and hope that people realize that because I know like there were 3 people waiting for the other stream to start, and then because I like got it to start, and then it took so long to start, I'd clicked the button twice, and then it stopped immediately, which is always fun. So it just immediately stopped, and that's yeah. So I gotta set things up. That's what I'm doing on my other monitor, in case you're wondering why there's nothing on the screen, is that I'm setting up the thumbnail and everything back onto this. It's all correct. There we go. Okay. Again, who knows how long before people realize? Oh. Hello. Yeah, sorry about the stream starting all funky. Like, because I set up on my phone while I was at work on break, I somehow managed to have it set as a mobile stream, and then when I was trying to go OBS to start, it didn't like that it was a mobile stream, and I somehow ended up starting and then stopping the stream like 2 seconds later, which meant that I couldn't restart the stream and I had to make an entirely different stream. So it's a little bit funky. So the jam doesn't begin for like another hour. I just decided I'd stream first, so if anyone wanted to jump on Discord and have a chat and like set up my dev environment, so I'm going to do things like we're going to cargo init and stuff like that. Get Bevy to compile. Yeah, and that's because it's been that long since I streamed that when the event got cancelled and I started a new one, it used the thumbnail from the previous time I'd been streaming, not the last stream that was an event. So it says 0.10 because that was the last time I streamed. It should be updated now. It should be this now, but whether that like change propagates immediately or whether like YouTube will take 5 or 6 minutes for it to propagate to all their servers so that everyone actually sees that as the thumbnail is who knows. Uh, oh, character. Ah, name. Oh, I can't start with a digit. Yeah, I'm happy to. I kind of wish I had more time. Like, it's been one of those things where I started the YouTube channel when I had just nothing but free time, and then it's deteriorated to the point where I'm working full time, and I just trying some new ADHD meds, and they just like knocked my motivation to do anything after work. So I've only just now started to come back after changing to a different meds, to actually to the point where I actually feel like getting on the computer and doing something after work instead of just laying in bed and being like, I don't want to get up. Because I was on stimulants and they just wear out like at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So by 4 o'clock I'm done work. Is just like I was just so dead tired, but not like I want to go to sleep tired. Just like I can't be bothered doing anything tired. I don't know what to call it. Two. Add a 2 half. I do have obsidian in that, but I just not really got into using it, mostly because again it was that whole super motivated to get it going, set it all up, and then started working full time. So it was kind of like it obsidian for like the brief time I was using it is fucking great, but it's one of those if you don't set it up properly, it just becomes tedious. I also don't know Markdown well enough to write really nice things, and the fact that if I remember correctly, like, do I have it? I don't think I've got it on my new computer. Is the problem? Because again, like I've built a new computer since then and everything. Like that's how long ago that I started this stuff. Yeah, no, I don't have it in. I had it installed on my old computer, but yeah, the big issue I was having is that like it didn't have like the formatting stuff, so it became really hard to do stuff if you didn't already know the shortcuts for Markdown, like the space dot space to make like a dot point list and stuff like that. Otherwise, yeah, it becomes that like unlike Word, I can't just select a bunch and go these are dot points. So it became difficult because it's like it expected you to know Markdown when you were writing it. But maybe that's just because I didn't like get to know it very well. Yeah, like, that's what I mean. Like I know you don't need every feature, but it's that concept of when you don't know any, you it's like they're difficult to learn. It's the same as everyone goes about Vim and like, oh, like Vim's so much faster. It's like, yes, but Vim is so hard to get past that learning barrier that it becomes like unlearnable for a lot of people. And yeah, fancy a notepad. I can't remember what it was like. It was that weird like there was something about like I think I was trying to show my mum at the time because we were working on a project together and I was like, hey, if we can do this, I've got a server set up under my desk, so it's like all the files can be on my server and we can both edit and access it. And within like 5 minutes of her using it, she'd already somehow fucked up all the hyperlinks, and it was like, how have you done this? Because the whole thing with Obsidian is everything's hyperlinked. Like that's the powerful thing of it, and it's like trying to explain to her that you've got to encase everything in double square brackets, and that makes it a hyperlink so that you can click it and it links somewhere else. It's just like she didn't get it. Yeah, it's that's a weird thing as well of like you do that the double square brackets because it could it's fine in it. 2 point. All right. So I can now reopen code, and I'll show you what I mean, like the square brackety thing. Open folder. YouTube. I try to be organized. It doesn't work. Select this folder. All right. Yes. We'll cargo init, and then I'll show you when I got a text document. I never showed up either. That's one of the advantages. Like I was telling my girlfriend because she wants to go to dinner after I finish streaming, and I'm like, and she goes, "Oh, maybe you should start your stream earlier." So, and I'm like, no, like 4 hours of talking is too much talking. Like, I don't shut up, and the issue with the live stream is I'm the only person that can talk. And that was part of my like, I'll start the stream like an hour before the event so I can like talk to people in Discord, and I'm like, and there's a good chance nobody will jump in Discord, and I'll just be like talking. I feel like the entire time where I'm just the only person doing it. I was like, hey, like, I mean, I can do that, but like, hey, don't to be smart enough. I'm dumb as a sack of rocks sometimes. I just have a very good ability to learn things. Like, I think it's in the description. If you look, there should be an invite to the in the description. Like what I've learned is that people can be really smart and then also really dumb at the same time. And the all I've learned, because everyone's always told me my entire life that I'm really smart. It's like, no, I'm just really good at understanding how things work and learning really quickly. I'm actually dumb as a sack of rocks. Like, I can't innovate or create new things, but I can listen to what someone has to say, understand what they're trying to say, and improve on that, like, or like tell them how they can improve, which is like the worst trait to have because everyone just hates you because they're like, oh, you've always got a problem with it. I'm like, no, I just always see a way that it could be better. I got to let the dog in before it barks the door down, so I'm just going to mute myself a bit right back.
Oh, well, I didn't know I could just join.
Oh, I hear you in the Discord.
Oh, that's crazy. All right.
I don't know how to set up settings on this shit. I just legit just like um set up a server and was like, I'm not touching anything. It came with a preset for our like fan community. I was like, I will just turn this on.
Brother, I'm lazy too, trust me. If it works, it works. If it fits, it sits. I don't care.
It's not even lazy. It's like I know that if I try to touch something, I'll break it so nobody can talk. You know, like I was just like, I'm not gonna even try. Some dude was like, I don't know if to
Yeah.
report you on fucking Reddit because somehow I ended up copying the redirect links from YouTube into my Reddit post, which made it look suspicious as fuck that I'm like, hey, yeah, check out my itch.io page. Links to YouTube, then to itch. I'm like, I don't even know how I did this. Like half the links were
It
broken. It was like, ah.
it just hops from itch to YouTube to OnlyFans, of course.
Oh, well, because I think that's what they're going. It's like it may look like it says YouTube, but like the funky letters or whatever in a URL, it could be. Is that it should
Yeah.
always like the text should always match the link, and I'm like, I don't even know what I've done. Like while I was copying it, somehow I wrote the whole thing out, then copied the two links, and then noticed that one of the links was the really long one with all the YouTube metadata. So I like said clear link and then retyped it so that it would, and then when I hit enter, it somehow pasted my entire YouTube post into the text. And I'm like, how
Oh.
have I done this? Like the entire post was there in the middle of my other post, and I'm like, shit.
I was actually about to ask since you're streaming, like, what about language? Because I'm cursy. But
No,
yeah,
fuck,
no,
fuck.
it seems okay. There you go. Are you streaming on multiple platforms like YouTube and Twitch?
No, just YouTube. I personally don't want to support Twitch because I actually just do not like the company. And same kind of goes for
Yeah.
YouTube, but more of a like I have to stream somewhere, and it's the lesser of two evils.
You gotta pick your poison, brother. Pick your poison.
Mm. Like, as everyone goes, oh, but you'll get so much bigger if you go on Twitch first. I'm like, yes, but it's not about being bigger. Like, it's sometimes you've got to take that moral stand because it's that whole thing. Like, Netflix did something that pissed me off. I'm like, I'm going to cancel my Netflix subscription, and then I just don't because it's like it's actually not that big of a deal to me. Whereas the YouTube Twitch thing, I'm like, you know what? I can just not start. Like, I probably wouldn't stop using Twitch if I was already using it and they did something that annoyed me. But I'm like, they're bad enough of a company that I'm not going to start because morally I don't think the benefits are worth the like moral sacrifice it would take.
Yeah, I think they're the weird the favoritism and the going way too hard on that I did put the ad bandwagon, like what they do to streamers, like how easily you can get kicked off for light things, while other people can do the same thing, but they bring in more advertisers, so it's like they just completely ignore them. It's like, well, okay, well,
Hmm.
I don't know if I want to contribute to your coffers, buddy.
Oh yeah, it's also some of those like because it's directly funding Amazon kind of thing of like I was hearing about it like someone literally died in Amazon in like an Amazon warehouse and the other employees had to step over the corpse because they just like couldn't stop to otherwise they would potentially lose their
That's
job and I'm like that's fucked like.
insane.
Hmm. I mean, it has to obviously be rare enough that made the news, but I'm like kind of because they're going like, and when they dug into it, the employees were pissing in bottles because they weren't allowed to take toilet breaks, and I was like, man, like it sucks,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'm still going to use Amazon.
Oh,
Like,
I mean, I hate kids working in factories and whatnot for shit pay, but I do like my Apple.
Yeah,
I
yeah. That's,
can't
I
lie.
think that's another one of those things, though. Is like morally, I'm like, you know what? Apple as a company has done such horrific things that I'm like, you know what? Not even going to go in that direction. I won't buy an iPhone because I know that it'll be good, and I won't be able to stop using an iPhone. But they're also a horrible company, so I'm not going to start like the shit that like they do, like where they intentionally make stuff obscure and difficult for people so that you have to use an iPhone.
Or like the aggressive planned obsolescence. Like even within
Yeah.
their their firmware, like they'll slow down your device,
That one,
to
like
encourage you to.
morally, like it was that well, problem wasn't that they were slowing down your device. The problem was they didn't tell you they were doing it because they have a very legitimate reason: longer battery life. And it's like, oh yeah, great, but you didn't come out and say, hey, we're going to slow down, older versions of your phone, or we're checking your battery and we're going to slow it down. Someone found it and then they went, oh yeah, no, that was so that your battery lasted longer. It was like, yeah, it does make your battery last longer, but that's not why you did it. If you'd done it that, you would have told us, and you would have made it something you can turn off. But until it was discovered, there was no setting to turn it off. And then once it was discovered, they added the setting, and it's like, yeah, dodgy. I was like, what I don't like is for the longest time that the blue versus green text bubbles or whatever, and it was like if someone reacted to your text on Android, you'd get a second text saying they reacted, and then like there was a standard put out and Apple just said, no, we're not going to use your standard. So they kept doing the double text thing. So Android manufacturers have now made it so that it'll intercept that second text and display it as the little icon because Apple refuses to use the standard. And now when you use it on an iPhone, on an Android phone, if you react to an iPhone user's thing, they get the double text message. And it's like, well, I don't know why Apple deliberately made it obtuse. Like they actually went out of their way to say, no, we're going to make people on Android not want to text people on Apple.
Uh, well then you got to peer pressure your fellow people to your fellow boys to hey, you got to get Android. I mean Apple, so we can both text comfortably. And there are
Yeah.
people out there who will do that. Who will be like, well, okay, I guess so.
Oh, look, my girlfriend has iPhones and she's doing the whole, and she just went, oh, you only hate them because you're too poor to afford them. And I'm like,
Oh,
do you know
hell
that I've
no.
got more money than you? Like, I'm not poor. I just actively don't like the company. Like, I will refuse. Like, even if they were the best or the cheapest phone, I would still refuse because I don't like their business practices as a company. And I'm like, yeah, I know that if I had started with them, I'd be like, oh, I don't like them, but I'm still going to use them. That's a lot of things. I'm like, I don't like their business practices, but I'm still going to use
Yeah.
them. YouTube, Twitch is like if I was using it,
Even Google, even Android,
oh
by
yeah,
the way.
yeah, oh
They
yeah.
listen to you
But
for real.
like
So it's
that's
like,
the thing is, it's like at least Android doesn't intentionally do things that you're like, really, why? But I guess Google technically does, and then they just claim it's for the consumer. Like they stopped selling all your information. They only give away like 6 pieces of information now, and it's so that you can't get targeted ads anymore. And it's like, no, it's so that
oh, how
YouTube is
nice
the
of them.
only, or that Google is the only company that can do targeted ads.
Oof. I, I've distracted you long enough. Sorry.
That's what I got like another half hour before the jam starts, so I don't want to start working on code until then. Instead, I'm just doing things like setting up my dependency and then like gonna compile it so that it like spends the 5 minutes compiling.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I know myself with my ADHD, I'll just start yapping, and I'm not getting shit done sometimes.
Yeah, that's me. Now, I just love like not doing anything for ages and then being like, oh yes, I'm supposed to be doing. And
And
then
then
other
you
times
knock
I just
out
get
like
so
your
much done.
entire day's work. Yeah, yeah.
That's my biggest dislike with working at the moment is that it doesn't matter how quick you are, you're at work the whole length of time anyway. And I'm like, I'm so quick sometimes that I'm like, I get to the end of the boss is just like, I guess just clean up because I've got nothing for you to do. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I can't go home because I've got to be here until this time. Like, it's not like you work faster, you get to go home earlier.
No, no.
And I was like, I kind of wish it was that way. Like, a lot of jobs should be that way, where it's like, here's your work for the day. When that's done, you go home and you get paid the same, regardless if you get it done in 1 hour or two. But instead, it's like, no, we're paying you per hour. So if you finish that lot of work, we've got some more over here. It's just like, So are you gonna make a game for the jam, or are you just joining in the live stream for fun?
I'm just joining the live stream for the shits and giggles. Really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What's up, dog? Hey, Fies. How you doing, man?
Oh, he's gotta love people trying to pronounce the name.
Yeah. Fies.
It's Festus.
Fees? It's what?
Festus.
Festus. What?
Yeah. Well, it's I took it from Hephaestus, the Greek god.
Oh no. In the chat, there's
Someone in chat.
somebody
So I've got
FYZ.
the fucking I think you're trying to read my name. I had the chat open, but then I've opened Discord, so now I can't see anything. It's all like all the text, all the. It had the chat window open, and it's gone now. Oh, Fies, yeah, FYZ. Wait, what do you mean no super chat? There should be super chats if you. I don't know how you do them, but they should be turned on. I think this is the most people I've ever had on a live stream at once. 8 people. Whew.
Really? Oh wow. Okay.
I might have got up to 11 when I was doing Minecraft, like making a Minecraft clone, but
yeah, that is so beyond me. I'm like, oh wow, you're fucking good.
I wish I was good. You like watch those people. I don't remember what his name is. There's some YouTuber who's he literally built a computer where I think he's still doing
Inside
that
of
series.
Minecraft?
No, he built an operating system that only ran Tetris. And then when everyone said that wasn't good enough, he was like, fine, I'll build a computer from like on a breadboard that runs my operating system that only plays Tetris. It's just insane.
If we were to have like a dick measuring contest, I know who would win. It would be that guy.
Yeah, I know, right? Like he did I think his big like claim to what made his YouTube channel blow up was he remade Minecraft in 24 hours was like the big video that he did.
Wow, I need to look that up. That's crazy as hell.
What the fuck? That's what I've done. Okay, that's confusing.
Sam Hogan?
I was just gonna pop YouTube open on the other window. The issue is that like my streaming account and my main like using YouTube account are not the same account, so it's gonna be more difficult.
Oh yeah, that's not important, brother. They're here for this stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I really don't want to start developing until I actually hit the start of the jam, because otherwise I feel like I'm getting an advantage. Admittedly, not really cheating, because there's no theme to the jam, which means anyone could have started as soon as I announced the jam making anything, and not like how would I know? But I, as the host, I've at least played by the rules.
So what inspired the jam to be a plugin jam? Because I know you do have a game jam. I don't know if it's going. I don't think it's going concurrently.
No, so the idea is that the game jam has a slight theme that stops people from cheating, in that you can't start or you have to use one of the plugins from the plugin jam in the game jam, which means that at the very least you need to modify your game at the end to add the plugin. And I've said meaningful to me is going to be like, as I'm a judge, I can be like, you haven't really used it. You've got like a thing that you've used for 30 seconds right at the beginning that makes it look like you've just tacked it on at the end. It's the YouTube channel is JDH.
Love a girl.
He's got 4.3 million views on his video saying making Minecraft from scratch in 48 hours.
Well earned.
Yeah, with no game engine.
No game it. Oh.
Yeah, dude's crazy. He'll be like, I'm gonna do this, and then he goes, so what do you think I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna use C. Like he doesn't like use any. He's just using C the whole time, and I'm like, oh man, you madman.
Actually, it's kind of funny that you mention the whole Amazon pissing in bottles thing.
Yeah.
I'm in a Discord with a rapper, and he had that in one of his. He brought that up in one of his bars and whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, that's fucking dark, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty dark, you know, like
you don't even give people fucking piss breaks. Like, come on.
Yeah,
man.
I'm pretty sure it was like and it was this whole thing like when they said they were going to unionize, it was like, okay, you no longer get lunch breaks, and I was like, what the fuck?
So they said that afterwards.
Yeah, it was like that. They said they were going to call a union vote or whatever, and it was kind of like, okay, well then, like, here's all your punishments for if you're trying to unionize, because it was like, and it was all these things like to stop people from unionizing. They did all this shit, and it was like, what the fuck?
Wait, do you know that? You realize now, for all your brilliance, do you really realize that if you don't have workers, you don't have a fucking company? Like,
But that's the point. Is these people? It's like, oh, I guess you don't have a job if you're going to unionize, and it's like these people can't not have a job, and I think a lot of Americans, because of like just the way you guys are raised or whatever, is that whole don't understand that as the worker you have all these rights or like can basically fight. Really, I don't know
yeah,
why my
there's
super chat's not working.
there's no super chats.
That's interesting. So unless I've somehow broken something, because I'm pretty sure monetization's turned on, which is what you need to turn on for super chats. It's interesting. Let me go back to my channel. Go to or see if I can like. Do I have like?
Daniel is dedicated to the cause. Thank you, Daniel. Putting his money where his heart is.
Oh, okay. Yep. That is dedicated. Go like loop loop loop. Supers. Oh, there we go. Super chat. There we go. I don't know how. Nope. It turned itself back off.
Well, that's great. Oh, maybe it's just Skynet, brother. Yeah.
It's not even giving me like any error. It turned on and then it turned off. Like the blue switch switched back. Okay, I think it's turned on now. It's like, look, I'll just bring this over and be like, look, it's turned on now. Like, I don't know why. I turned it on before and it literally just turned itself back off.
I can't see it.
It'll be across in a second. I don't know how far behind the lag is. I've got it turned to super low, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to do anything. Like I don't like I've never actually talked to someone. Lost 3,000 Google credits.
3,000 Google credits.
The fuck are Google credits?
Google shekels.
Yeah.
3,000 Mike Pences.
That was like the first person that ever gave me
Mike
a super
Pesos.
chat. It gave me like 1,000 din, and it's like, what the fuck is a din? How much is a din? Like, I don't know if you're really nice and you've given me a huge
social credit.
Oh yeah, I lost my social credit because I showed my YouTube fucking panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because YouTube really is China. Like that was the thing. Like YouTube used to be a company that I could respect,
right?
Because they used to have that like "Don't be evil" as their motto, and then
they had to get rid of that one.
Yeah, they changed it to because they were like, oh no, we need to change our motto from "Don't be evil" to "Do what's best." I think is what they changed it to or something. And everyone went, "What, for the shareholders?" And it was kind of like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because they were going about like how they wouldn't open in China because China wanted them to censor Google, and they were like, "Fine, we won't open China." And then like 5 years later, it turns out that they were just making a version of Google that would censor it. It was more that they couldn't censor Google because of how it was set up, like how the search engine actually worked. They couldn't censor it. So they spent 5 years trying to make one that they could, and then it leaked, and then they were like, what? No, we promise we're not going to sell anything in China. And it was like, yeah, sure. Fucking.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Hey, super chats available. I still don't have super chats, but hey, they're there.
Right. Apparently it's Siberian diners. And apparently
Donaires. Sounds like a donut.
But yeah, it's one of those things. Like it's just interesting because so according to YouTube's actually going to show me my revenue. It's about 35 Australian dollars because.
Sounds like a donut that'll put hair on your chest.
Yeah, I'm dyslexic as fuck. I can't read.
Oh, Serbian, yeah, Serbian.
Yeah. Serbian, yeah. Okay.
Dark as hell, but Daniel, have you ever heard of the film called A Serbian Film?
Da, da, da. Let's see what he says. 'Cause I've
Wait,
never
can
talked to
they
someone
hear
who's
me?
watching the
I
streams.
have,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I don't know how long the lag between the you saying something and them hearing it is.
Horrible film, and then just like a smile,
Yeah,
like
the
a
tongue
goofy
poking out
face,
face.
like wink, wink. Yeah, yeah, it is. I think the c- cinematography is not that bad, but yeah, it's just there's no real substance to it. I could see Martyrs, like that's a shocking film too, and it's largely about shock, but it has there's a message there. The message is there, but a Serbian film, while I think like well filmed, is just it's just there to be like, oh my god.
That sounds like there's a movie called Hostel that's very much
Yeah,
like that.
basically that.
Yeah.
Wait, have you seen a Serbian film too?
No, I haven't. I tend to avoid those kinds of movies. I just don't like watching them.
Oh, good. Keep it that way. You got the facts.
Okay. Yeah, I remember watching Hostel because I was like 15 and being like, oh, edgy, got to watch this movie. And then it's kind of like, fuck, why did I watch that movie? That was not a movie you want to watch.
Well, there's one movie you could watch. It's called Meat Spin.
No, I've seen that one as well.
I can't trick you.
No, fool me
Like,
once,
ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
What's the other one? Lol Lemon Wire or something.
Yeah, I can't blame you.
Um, Trying to think what else. I mean, Sharknado is actually a pretty good movie considering how meme culture it is.
I think it's like that Sharknado and like The Room, like they have a great quality of just being so bad that it's funny. But like the Room is like it doesn't even realize it's that bad. Like it's really trying really hard. Whereas
Yeah,
Sharknado is like there's a tongue in cheek nature to it.
I don't know. Actually, I think the original Sharknado was trying, like, but it didn't think it was going to be good. It knew that on $1 million budget, it was not going to be a good movie, so they made an absurd movie. Whereas The Room actually thought that it was making some kind of art masterpiece.
Hi, I did not hit her. I did not. I did. I'm just being real with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen any of the trailers for Dune 2. I don't know how I've been avoiding it. I guess just not being on the internet.
I'd say do not, bro, because it feels like there's spoilers in there. I mean, I don't know if there exactly is like meaningful spoilers, but if one scene in the trailers, I'm like, you could have saved that.
Well, do you know
It's
what's
gonna be
really
too good.
funny is because I almost exclusively watch YouTube as my forms of entertainment, so I don't watch TV, and I've got premium. I don't see ads like ever.
Oh, nice.
Like I don't get to watch movie trailers. Like when I turn, like when I'm, because I've accidentally signed into my YouTube account that I do my streaming and my channel on. I'm not a premium, which means I get ads, and occasionally I'll get an ad and I'll be like, this is how people know what's going on in the world because they get ads that like are like, here's the movie coming out.
I did not hit her. Oh, hi, Mark. That's such a bullshit.
It's
Oh
just the
yeah.
greatest. I like the meme that goes with that. There's the confused Travolta or whatever from Pulp Fiction, where he's like turning around with the coat over his arm, and he's like, "What? What do you like?" And then like someone's like green screened that on top. He's like, "I did not hit her." It's like, what? What's going on? It's just great. For a movie I've never actually seen, like The Room is just really funny.
I want to see. I want to see that movie. I actually haven't seen it, but I just keep hearing about it. Like
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I,
I
I
heard.
know most of the plot from the memes. I watched like an hour-long video where they talked about like the backstory of the guy that made it and how he was basically just insane. And
I mean,
yeah.
I've seen some of the trailers for his newer movies. It seems like he's kind of in on the joke now, so it's probably lost a little bit of that hilarity, a little bit.
Yeah, if they see, it's one of those that you couldn't do it on purpose kinds of things. Like it required the fact that he actually thought he was making a good movie.
But Neil Breen, see, that's another guy you should look at if you like So Bad It's Good. Neil Breen.
I'm trying to think of like really dumb movies that I've watched. Have you ever seen Sausage Party? That movie has like one of the greatest endings of all movies for such a like mediocre movie.
Which movie?
Sausage Party.
Oh yeah, it just I never even seen it. It just looked like it was way too lowbrow for me, and I love lowbrow
Yeah,
stuff,
but
but I'm like, ugh.
it actually wasn't that lowbrow. I think the trailers made it out to be way worse than it actually was because they were hoping to market to those people. But like the final scene of that movie was them opening a portal to another dimension where the sausage that's played by Seth Rogen was a Jewish actor, and it was actually just Seth Rogen. And so like they open the portal to the world where Seth Rogen, and then they're like the sausage jumps into the portal to go to the real world, and then it like cuts to Seth Rogen in the recording booth, and the sausage starts climbing out of his mouth.
Uh, there you go. Neil Breen is a cinematic master. He is God. He is love. He is life. Like Shrek, but
Oh,
hairier.
have you seen Shrek Reimagined?
What? Is that like part of that meme that where Shrek is love, Shrek is life, or is it like a
No.
whole?
Like Shrek Reimagined is an entire retell. Oh no, it's Shrek Retold. It's just the entire movie, but where like 200 people each did a scene in their own like art style, so it's just chaotic as fuck. You know, like there'll be a live action of like some dude who's just painted himself green, and then cut to like some animation where it's like Rick and Morty like style, like the original one where it was, and they look it's all like, or that would cut to something and they're all like
Oh.
melting and like it's that like acid trip animation style, and then
And then like
yeah, it's just
and
hilarious.
then like this and then the scene with and then the love scene between Donkey and the dragon is just like a Pornhub scene.
Uh,
Like
don't think
Donkey
that's in
just
there, but
showed up.
that would
No,
yeah.
no,
No,
okay.
I was talking to a person
I
at
got your
work, and they
pizza
were
there.
like, "Oh, like I love this scene," and it's they're talking about like Lord Farquaad and how he kicked them all out of their homes, and then one of the pigs just goes, "Yes," and he was floating over my bed at night, and I'm like, "Wait, Lord Farquaad's his fucking like sleep paralysis demon, just levitating over him," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, that's what you do. You just bump."
We gotta kill God, Donkey. Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, that's what we need is Rick going on adventures with Donkey. Like he doesn't need Morty anymore. Just
Let's
replace him
be
with
real.
Donkey.
Donkey has what the kids call wrist though. Like I'm sure he could fuck so he could fuck anybody's bitch.
Yeah, no, I like
If
the
he doesn't want to fuck my bitch, clearly my bitch is not beautiful enough. If Donkey does not want to,
I like the
slide up in
conclusion
there.
that, like, obviously in the Shrek universe, donkeys and dragons are the same species because otherwise, how'd they have kids? And it's like, well, doesn't that just imply that Donkey just got really unlucky because he could have been born a dragon, but instead he was a donkey?
He just born a defective dragon,
Yeah,
a dragon with Down syndrome.
because like when they talk about like D&D, I think kobolds are supposed to be related to dragons, and the kobolds think that if they do the right thing, they'll turn into dragons. Like the DNA is locked down inside them. Like we are dragons. We've just not unlocked our full potential yet. And just like imagining like all these kobolds running around, be like, no, we will become dragons. And then that's Donkey. He's like, I will become a dragon because like his mother is a dragon, his father is a dragon, and then Donkey is just a donkey. And it's like,
I
oh,
think I can. I think I can. I think I can.
that's it. That's why Donkey. He's like, I'm a flying donkey. It's like because he's like, yeah, no, I'm a dragon.
He tries to like fly from a roof. It just he jumps and then the camera pans away and then just cuts to like a newsreel where like local donkey jumps off a
Right.
roof.
It just no, it doesn't cut to a newsreel. It just cuts to the chalk outline of like a splattered donkey. I saw a
Oh,
Cyanide and Happiness comic that was like where it was the
oh,
detective, and he goes,
the
"I think
best.
this was a suicide, not a murder." And he goes, "What makes you say that?" It's like, "I just think this guy wanted to draw his own chalk outline." It zooms out, and there's the chalk outline around the dead guy, and he's just drawn a giant dick on it. And it's like, yeah, that's a good reason to kill yourself is just draw your chalk
Oh,
outline, lay down in it, and kill yourself. So that like, oh yeah, this guy's got a big dick.
yeah.
Uh, Oh man, I did not realize how long an hour is to just sort of like not know what to do while I wait for the jam to start. Just doing stuff that's like tangentially related, but not developing my plugin, just like setting up my world and stuff. I'm just glad someone actually jumped in the Discord and I have someone to talk to rather than just sitting here by myself trying to make conversation.
It's the thickest accent
I what was the
and the deepest voice.
thickest accent and deepest voice?
This kind of fucking vibrates the room.
Yeah. Um. So Dragon was just that in love with Donkey that like Dragon was like, I'm gonna spend all my points turning into a wizard so I can transform into a donkey. Just for the bang, and then she turns back into a dragon. Does polymorph require spell slots? I'm wondering if it's like, do they only get to bang so many times before a long rest? It's not. We don't want to spawn a camera and update. That's where I start. It lasts a long time. You gotta hope Donkey lasts a long time. He's got to satisfy the dragon. So you're saying dragon transforms back when they finish? That just needs to be like one of those comic strips where it's just, you know, like the 5 panels or whatever it is. It's like loses concentration, transforms back. At least they would get bigger instead of like, you know, smaller, or like if it was Donkey transforming into something smaller and then like loses concentration, just explodes the other person. I think that's in The Boys where there's one of the like heroes can like change size and they get like really tiny and climb up some other person's pee hole and then they turn back to normal size and the person just explodes. I think it's because they sneezed because they've done too much coke and they just like transform back. Okay. It's a lot of combination.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Well,
Oh, I was talking the whole time and then just said, "Nah, not today, brother."
You gotta love that. On my old setup, I used to have push to talk setup that was like a side key on my button, and then I'd not use Discord for like 6 months, and then I'd go back on like using Discord, and then everyone's like, "We can't hear you," and I'm like, "Fuck, push to talk."
Turns out you're just ignoring them because you're an ass.
Yeah, right, that too. But it's the
When
same.
you're skilled enough, you can just be an asshole, you know, like Linux Torval.
It's not when you're skilled enough. It's this when everyone else thinks you're really good, then they're like, ah, he's just a genius, and it's like, no, he's just a dick. Like, there's a lot you can get away with when people think you're top shit.
Oh yeah, I know. I've experienced that, brother. Not personally.
Yeah. No, you're the person getting shit on, not the person doing the shitting.
Well, I mean, I never say I know I never went like that far, but yeah, I mean, fair enough. I feel targeted, bro.
I know the feels. I just like it's more that like I accidentally shit on people sometimes because because I did it to someone at TAFE the other day because I'm still trying to work out if TAFE's like a world thing or just an Australian thing, but it's basically just like when you're an apprentice, you got to go to school once a week. But so someone like I did my project and we're showing the teacher, and they were like, "Hey, you want to like swap? If you can hand in the project that I've done, and I'll hand in that project." And I was like, "Nah, I actually want mine to be good." And the teacher just looked at me and went, "Oh, that was a bit harsh." I was like,
What? I'd have
this,
been like, what the fuck?
like that's not how I meant it, but like I was kind of like, wasn't yours the one that was bent? And he was like, no, that was the other guy's. I was like, well, still, like I want to do my own. Like I don't give a shit. But it was just like it did come across very harsh when I was like, nah, I don't want to hand in yours. I'll do my own. It'll be better.
Is that a common thing to like swap
No,
assignment?
no,
Like a swap?
it's this one particular dude, and he does my head in because he's the level of like I'm a machinist, and like so we're around like really fast moving things all the time that it's quite dangerous. And this dude has such a nonchalant attitude of being like, oh no, yeah, it's fine. And it's like, no, like don't. Like one guy was saying, like, oh, be careful doing that because if you hit the chuck jaws, they'll be sharp. And he goes, oh, if you ever punched the chuck jaws at least once, you're not really a machinist. I'm like, that's not something you should be saying. Like, yeah, like you will get hit by the jaws eventually in your life, but that doesn't mean be like, oh, I don't care about the safety of it. Like it's just stupid. Yeah, like they have this level of like, I'm actually concerned they're going to do something dangerous, and I don't know if they're playing dumb or actually are that stupid.
It's usually the latter.
Yeah. Well, that's my thing of being like, because they'll just do stuff, and I'm like, why are you doing this? So the lecturer told me to stop helping them, and I'm like, I was just talking to them about shit because like they keep asking me, and I don't want to help them because this particular teacher doesn't like measure anything at the end. He just sort of goes, yeah, you didn't ask for help, so you must have done it right. And I was like, right. Which means that's how they're kind of going like, oh, well, we can just, one of us do it and then all hand in the same project. And it's like, the teacher knows you're going to do that. Like, he's watching you, like, discuss it right in front of him. But yeah, they do stupid shit, basically. And I'm just like, man, it's glad it's not my problem to deal with them. Like, they're not at my workplace, they're just at my school. And I'm like, as long as they don't get killed while I'm around, I don't care.
Well, as long as I don't have to walk over your body in an Amazon warehouse, like we're good.
But no, it's more of a like as long as you don't fuck the machine while you're doing it, like
As long as you don't get a squirt over here and over there. This is where I'm working.
Well, that's
in that direction. Thank you.
My issue is like I'll use the machine and it won't cut right. And I'm like, fucking, what's someone done to it? Like, what the fuck they break? Because if you drive the machine into the chuck, it just won't cut right ever again. Like it'll bend something somewhere. Like this machine is capable of driving with enough force that it can like cut 10 mil of metal in one pass at like some ridiculously absurd speed. And it's like, and you don't think that it's going to break something if it gets stuck. And yeah, no, people still break shit.
Oh, hello there, UK crustacean. How you doing, man? I also can't read, so it'd just be weird to have me just butcher everything I fucking try. Oh, okay, that's a terrifying commercial.
Oh, you see a commercial. I have like no idea. I remember when I used to. I
Wait, do you
suspect that's
get
actually
paid for
what.
your commercials?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay,
Not
good.
much,
I
but
won't skip it.
um.
Being on stream with you, I'm guilt tripped into not skipping it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh man, this is like my most profitable stream ever. Like my second most profitable one was like my third or fourth stream ever when someone like with stuff enabled, someone gave me a super chat and it was worth $10, and now there's one person's given me like $60, and then it was you gave me 10 Canadian. I don't know what that is in Australian.
But, you know, when you're a quality streamer, you know, simps come a flocking.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I love it. I can tell when an ad plays. Uh, we're making a plugin today, not a game. We're doing a plugin jam for a week, and then we're going to do a game jam over the weekend that is going to use one of the plugins that was submitted for the plugin jam. So I'm making a camera plugin is my plan, which the jam officially starts in 5 minutes. So that's why I'm just sort of like doing stuff related to the game because I'm not actually making my plugin. I'm setting up stuff so I can test my plugin. But I can tell when an ad starts because my viewership drops from like 8 to 3. It's like, I see that 3 people have premium because they didn't get the ad.
Oh god.
I think it was my biggest stream ever. I started fucking around with the ad button because I was going like, I don't know if the ads are playing, and everyone's like, nah, we haven't seen an ad the whole stream. I'm like, click the ad button. I'm like, anyone get an ad? No. Nah, no ads. I was like, clicked it again. Nah, still no ads. And that one person going, please stop giving me ads. Because I think they got every ad, but everyone else had premium or like just wasn't getting ads for some reason.
So they're just funneling it to that one guy.
Yeah, well, because it was that whole like, I think over the course of 10 minutes, I played like 25 ads or something like that. It was just like, but please stop.
Yeah, let's shame the non. Let's look at and shame the premium users. Starting with you.
I can't directly see premium users. But I can see when my viewership suddenly drops, and I can see how many people are still left. So it implies that they're not getting ads. This is what's happening. Like, it's the same as when I used to do like when I do my premieres, YouTube would tell me that there's X number of people waiting for my stream or for the video to come out, and then I'd be like, oh, cool, it says I've got like 5 people, and then it would start, and there'd be 1 person, and I'm like, oh, did they all just leave? Turns out they were getting ads. I was like, it took me ages to work out that that's why they would all just disappear as soon as the video started.
Oh, so it's like once the ad starts, like that goes down automatically because the ad counts as them not being.
We'll lose some more social credits. Oh, it just disappeared. Oh, okay. Fuck. There was just a dip here where it was like, it's 5 people, 4 people, and then it dropped down to 2. And it's like, well, I know those 2 people have premium because they didn't get the ad, but it's obviously smoothed it out because it's bouncing around. It's weird that it does that. See, sorry for just a fraction of a second when I dragged it across. Yeah, but then it disappeared. But yeah, it's sort of like that by inference. Like, yeah, is that I can also actually see like in my control panel like percentages of viewers. I don't know if it's because like apparently people watching my channel are really old, which is somewhat insulting to people like watching my channel, but like YouTube tells me my audience is like in their 30s, and I'm like, man, it's weird that most of my audience is older than me.
How old are you? If you well, no, this I don't know if you want to share that. But...
I don't give a shit. I'm 25.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're not that young. You're not super young. You're young, but you're not super.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like because I've only recently turned 25, but when I started the channel, I was like I was 23 when I started the channel, and I think the entire time I've been doing the channel, like majority of my audience have been in the age bracket above me, not like even in my age bracket, but like the bracket above, like is the YouTube thing where it's like it's like 18 to 24-year-olds, 28% of my audience. It's like, oh yeah, not too bad. And it's like 25 to 35-year-old, about 50% of my audience. It's like, damn, most of my audience is older than me. Because then you got 35 to 44 is 17%, 45 to 55 is 5%. Like a lot of my audience is older than me, and almost none of them are women. So,
well, I'm gonna shut my mouth. I'm gonna shut the fuck up. I will say some bullshit. We want to gain you female viewers, brother, not scare them away.
Nah, scare them away. Trust me, I don't
fucking host. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't. like that one makes sense because I'm just like, yeah, male game dev does seem like a male dominated field. It's like especially like the casual scene of like we're doing Bevy like out of everything. Like it's not even like mainstream.
Mhm.
It's like the niche of the niche.
Yeah, the ultra mega. But here's the thing. The beautiful thing is I think this framework currently turning engine is growing, and
Oh,
once it gets an engine, it's just gonna skyrocket.
oh yeah, the editor is gonna fucking kill. Like, they keep teasing it. It's doing my head in though because every single update they're like, yes, next update there'll be some engine development, and then they don't like, well, they obviously do something, but it's just like they keep saying that maybe the next version you'll get to try it, and it's like, and then they just go, hey, here's some concept art. It's like, come on, just like release something. The fact that the editor please has been out for like 2 years and still manages to get updated to the next version like within the same day tells me that an editor is not too hard, but they want to do it right. And I'm kind of like, yes, but doing it right seems to be taking way too long. Like,
I mean, to be fair, I prefer them to wait. Maybe not wait more time, like a lot more time, but like if they took like a year or two more, I wouldn't be too against it because like if the fundamentals are too far off, right? Um, like Unity started with some paradigms that just borked the engine. Not like you can't make things with it, but making complex things is a pain in the ass.
oh
It's
yeah,
way too
that's why I'm
frustrating.
saying like the actual editor itself, they should just do something like the Bevy editor please, where it just lets you look at components and edit them at runtime. Like that's all I'm asking for, is to not have to
Mm.
use a third-party plugin that I have to wait to update to be able to do very basic stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah, not fair.
like just whack it in there and be like, hey, this is not staying permanently. Because I was saw some other game engine that came out about the same time as Bevy, like started out about the same time, I think it was, and it had a graphical engine, and it's grown like 4 times faster than Bevy has because it's just people can just drop in and use it, whereas Bevy is like everyone goes, that's too complicated, which may keep Bevy like more focused because you don't get those people coming in and being like, I'm going to add this, and they don't really know what they're doing. But Bevy seems to have that already,
Mhm.
where it's like you have to pretty much prove you know what you're doing before they'll let you contribute anything. Like there's not going to be random people coming in, and you don't want to grow too quickly that you lose the vision of who you are because you start being what other people want you to be, kind of thing. But it's just, it's been so long that I wish they didn't tease it like 3 updates ago that it was coming and then like not release it for 3 updates.
So why are they blue balling us like this?
Yeah, exactly. Like even just the images that they've got, I'm like, man, if you could just release like, just bring the post over on the stream so other people can see what I'm doing and not just like me talking to an empty texture. But like they've got some nice concept art, and I'm like, man, it looked nice. Just just let
Agreed.
us
Agreed. Crustaceans. Agreed.
just let us touch it. Let us break it,
Can
please.
you let us touch it? Let us. Can I please? Oh, can I please touch your editor, please? Yeah, you have to ask for consent, of course. You know, you can't just touch the editor without consent. That's not cool, bro.
Uh,
But
Phox plugin is the name of the jam. Technically, it's Phox plugin jam or Phox's plugin jam. I don't know. It's just like that's how I shorten my name when I instead of writing FhaestusFox everywhere, I just put PHOX.
yeah, honestly, I kind of have to agree. Like, if as long as it's like you. Here's the thing, like getting it, getting it, getting some of the basics just like hardened into the system, right? Like this is what we're not gonna
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like,
like.
it's throwing a like a an editor in. Like, I get like because what they're trying to say, I think, was that they want the editor to dog food. They want all the UI and the editor to be made using Bevy. Like, the editor is going to be built in Bevy, and it's like, yes, but like we still would be nice if I could just get a hierarchy viewer, like anything like that. Like, even if you're like, hey, this may not stick around.
Yeah, I agree. Like it'll be deprecated. It'll be deprecated soon. But something that's like that. That when they update to a new editor, a new
Yeah, new
version
version,
of
the editor
Bevy,
is going
it's
to
just
work.
there. Yeah.
Which is actually something I should chuck into my game. I don't know why my Windows is broken. There. Let's go to Tumble and add Bevy editor, please.
UK rest stations. That's great.
Yeah, that is actually a great username.
Rust stations. I think Senpai may have noticed you. Hopefully that fills your belly with a sort of warmth.
That
Get
is
you a little bit chubbed up.
I hate that. That is just the worst.
Senpai did that ooh. That's that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, just like that senpai noticed me. It's like
Yeah,
fuck, that's just dog shit.
yeah. I'm gonna commit seppuku. Is it seppuku? Seppuku? I'm gonna commit ritual
Seppuku.
honor suicide.
Yep.
So I've dishonored my family name. Love you guys. Not long for this world though.
Yeah. Make sure the knife sharp. Can't have you surviving.
There's not really a do-over in that, you know. There's no quick saves in life. I wish though, that'd be great. I would have fumbled so much less baddies if and beg if there was quick saves. It does tend to escalate quickly.
Yeah, that's to be honest, my brain is just shutting down. Like I have no idea what we're talking about. I know it escalated, but I don't know what it's about. My brain is just like running on autopilot. So, yeah, my plugin for this game jam, because I still don't think I've mentioned it, is to make a camera that is going to act sort of like the remote camera, where if you hover over like a notification, it'll point an arrow like to where that notification is, but hopefully in like 3D and use like I guess like a wow cam or whatever you'd call it, like where it like can orbit around the sphere but not into the ground sort of thing.
Oh,
So like
like respecting physics?
well, I don't know if it's physics, but like yeah, so like the 3D camera that can orbit around and let you move around, but also like has an arrow that points where something like where a notification is pointing to.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah.
Uh, not sure how it's gonna work, but like hopefully that'll mean that like it'll give you cool concepts of like being able to, because my thing was is when I came up with the plugin jam idea, where I was like, I need something that doesn't have to have like a theme picked in advance and doesn't need like a whole lot of lead time, because like someone that I know that I've talked to about other game jams that I've done, I was like, oh hey, you want to do this game jam? And they're like, oh well, that's not really very much time. Like it's like I announced it like 3 days before it's happening, like 3 days after Bevy came out. It's like that's not a lot of time for people to learn the systems. I'm like, well, not that much changed between 13 and 12, so like in theory it shouldn't be hard to write a plugin in 13. But it's just that like that was the whole idea. There's no theme, you can just make whatever you want. Yeah, kind of like that, but it's more the Rimworld idea of like when you hover over the notification, it has like an arrow pointing to where this notification is talking about. And the idea being that like bringing that into 3D. So I guess if the thing is in front of you, it'll have an arrow like in the middle of the screen pointing like down at the thing, as opposed to the Skyrim compass at the top, which like I guess revolves around. So it's like it points you. It's just a compass, whereas this is I guess like a on-screen version where it sort of meshes out more. It's like yeah, it'd be like if the Skyrim compass actually projected onto the world as well. Like if you're at the top of a mountain, instead of them being in your compass, they were on the world. That's
Oh,
assuming
kind of
that I
like
can
a
pull it out.
so like a Forza, like the lines on the road or something like that. Like you would see in Forza,
Mm,
like when you're racing.
no, like
No?
more like what's that like Fortnite clone that everyone's played?
Hawken?
Valorant is
Oh, Valorant. No,
Valorant.
yeah.
I think what would
That's not a Fortnite clone. That's more of a CS:GO clone.
no, okay, so it's not Valorant. And there was one that like had the same art style as Valorant, but like you dropped into the Fortnite style like battle royale. had a robot that shot grappling hooks. Fucking no, I never played it. But in that, if you press like Q, I think it pings the ground and it goes like here, and like there's like the big pillar of light so that other people can see.
Oh, Apex Legend, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Apex Legends. Yeah, yeah. See, not my type of game. I much more into like long-term survival shit. Like I don't even like the extract shooters where like, because I just find that you end up coming across people that like try hard too much and there's no strategy to it. Like they just know the map pretty well and it's too small. I much prefer like the DayZ style survival where you can spend like ages stalking around in the bushes because you're like there might be someone. Much more fun because then it's all in your own head. You're like stalking around in the bushes for ages and there's not even anyone around.
Oh, there's one game like that called Scum. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Scum. Oh no, isn't Scum the one that has like all the ridiculous shit? Like even your character's gotta go pee and shit like that.
Yeah, like it's kind of
Too
a
far.
lot. Too far. Okay.
No, it's like I want something like
No
DayZ where it's
zombies.
like the eating and drinking in DayZ, like the original mod, not the standalone, was not supposed to be something you had to worry about. It was supposed to be something to force you to go near other players. Like you had to go into town to get food and water. It wasn't, oh shit, if I don't constantly bounce between towns, I'll starve to death, which is what the standalone is. If it's like literally, unless the server has nobody on it or is like just restarted, you will starve to death if you don't constantly run between towns because there's not enough food. You will just not find enough to actually survive.
You can't make your own servers and just be like, well, I want this level of
I'm
survivability.
not sure. I think you can, but you have to like pay them to host it, like Minecraft
Oh,
Realms, as opposed to hosting your own server on your own. It's like you have to host official, unofficial servers. But maybe it's changed since then. I mean, I haven't played it in like a year, but it was just ridiculous because like when it first came out, it was like there was heaps of people, like every server was full, and most people were just starving to death because you just couldn't find enough food.
it was the communist Russia of servers.
Oh, especially because I ran into some people like at the airfield and they were talking, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you want some food?" In my backpack, I had 48 cans of food because that's all I did was run around picking up food, and because I was like playing by myself, I just kept hoarding it, and like by nature, I'm a hoarder. Like I just, and they were like, "Wait, why the fuck are you carrying so much food?" I'm like, I don't know, like might need it. Like, half my backpack was just full of food and
I
water and
like
like
ramen
everything.
noodles.
And they were like, "But you could be carrying so many guns," and I'm like, "What?" Like, and shoot at what? Like, you're the first people I've run into, and you guys are starving to death. Like, what the fuck do I need to shoot at?
Why are you arguing against your own help? Like, I'm confused here. Do you want the food? Do you want the Snickers or not, brother?
Yeah, like that. There was just such a weird game, and then like it became even more weird when like I think they added a whole bunch of extra stuff. Like you used to walk around and you'd walk into like an apartment building, and in the sink was a scope for a gun, but you'd never find the gun. Like guns were so rare, but you'd find gun mods everywhere. Like sniper rifle scopes in the sink, and like go to the bathroom and it's a box of ammunition, and you're like, oh yeah, yeah. I wish I could find the gun. You never did, like, or you did find the gun, but you could
Who
never
wants a
find the
gun?
ammo.
Who wants a gun when you can have like a frying pan or a shovel?
Yeah, I
Something
mean that
goofy.
was the fun thing about was it Player Unknowns is when people have a frying pan. Like they're like the ultimate melee weapon, not because it's any good as a melee weapon, but because it stopped bullets when you had it on your back.
And because it's a big fat meme, you just walk up to somebody, ding! Oh,
Yeah, but
how
as I say, the
satisfying
meme
that
came from
is.
the fact that it
Oof.
was like no, yeah, objectively the best melee weapon in the game, not because it did any more damage, but because it could occasionally block a bullet. Like there was no reason to have any other melee weapon because melee sucked. You just took the frying pan because it like literally made you bulletproof.
Rust Station, have you ever played that game before?
The Player Unknown's Battleground. I'm still trying to remember what I was doing. Uh,
Never? Yeah.
I think I played it like once or twice with a friend. I had a friend like he loves those kinds of games, and he dragged me into playing them, and I don't like them.
it means little me,
He's he,
but helps
he's
Fox.
he's saying that he's donating so much. He's obviously this man is rich. If he can
Oh,
donate,
okay.
if he can chuck me basically $80 and be like, it means nothing. Yeah, see, that's my thing. Is it's not so much because I can't stand grand strategy mostly because my ADHD just starts playing up after too long of being like I've planned this all out and then the plan goes slightly sideways and I'm like fuck it, send them all in, like try and flank them and then like they work at you flanking them so you're like all right, I'm just full forward.
Release the Kraken.
No, it's not even release the Kraken. It's spam the cheapest minion button, and see what happens. I'm a real lover of 4X games. I think it's Aurora 4X is just so in depth that I spend probably every time I play that game like 3 or 4 hours just plotting everything out, and then I hit like run and then I get bored and stop. Like I don't actually play the game. I just plan the logistics out, and as soon as I get like to the next system, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of bored now. Do something else. And don't touch it for like a year or two, and then I come back and be like, and plot everything. Like 'cause that game is to the level like you design your ships and you get to like choose how many walls of armor they have, how many bedrooms, how many engineering spaces, how many missile bays. Like everything is plotted out in that game, and it all actually has an impact because adding more engineering spaces means the ships can like use less supplies when they're out doing things. So you can make like a ship that can be out for like 30 years, but it's just really slow. Or you can make a ship that's really fast but needs to keep coming back because it can't fix itself. And
What
it's
game is this? You said Eve?
Aurora 4X.
I haven't even heard of that one before.
Yeah, it's free. You can play it. It's just like it's almost text based, but not actually text based. Like it's more about reading spreadsheets than anything else. And you can like genetically engineer this is the like the nitty gritty level of how stupid it is. You can genetically engineer your people to like be able to survive higher gravity so that it costs you less infrastructure, which is sort of like the nebulous term for shit that's required to keep people alive when otherwise they wouldn't be able to live. And so it's like if the gravity's too high, you need infrastructure, which is presumably anti-gravity material or something, so that they can live on a planet with higher gravity. But it's like, or you could genetically engineer them to be able to withstand higher gravity, and then you don't need the infrastructure. And it's weird, like how in depth that game was. But it kind of got a bit out of control in the sense that like if you wanted to do war against another faction, you could like literally like deploy troops onto their like planet, and then you had to like deploy boats in order for your troops to be able to move around on the planet. It was just kind of like okay, it's a bit too complicated.
See, I like complication as long as it's not like a heavy into this like spreadsheet thing. Like I like
Mm.
options, right? And like as long as aren't like too
Oh, you're
like
cutting
too
out.
it's amazing. Sorry, what?
You're cutting out.
Oh, okay. What?
Yeah, no, so, there's
I just like the options in games. So as
well,
long as
yeah,
there's more
I'm
options,
trying to think that there's a term like a really succinct way of saying it, but I can't remember what the succinct way is. But it's referring to the fact that you want depth, not complexity. Like Dwarf Fortress, for example, is complex for the sake of being complex, not like it's really deep because it's complex. But there are other games like RimWorld that are really deep but not complex. You could pick it up and learn it in an hour. It's about mastering all the like optimizing everything, lots of depth, like all these things interact with each other, but you don't need to know that they're doing that in order to play the game. Whereas Dwarf Fortress is like, oh no, you can't make it out of that rock because that rock in the real world has these properties about it, which means you can't do that. Like, oh, you can't dig through that because it's limestone and limestone's not very strong, so your roof will collapse. It's like, oh, okay, like it's not much fun. Whereas your depth is to say like, oh, well, limestone weapons do less bludgeoning damage, but take significantly less time to make because they're so soft. And it's like, oh yeah, no, like you've got the depth, but not the complexity because it's not like, oh, you can't make a club out of limestone; it would be too soft. It's you can make a club out of limestone; it'll just be shit.
Yeah. I think there's usually like like depending on the game, the type of game you're making, there's like a middle ground. And like I know with them, they were going like, no, we're just gonna give you like we're throwing everything at the wall.
Yeah,
Like we're throwing it all out there, and to let if you don't like it, you don't like it, and I respect that. but then it's like I know like the in card games, there's often a lot of complexity that's hidden from you until you actually like you a lot of times you'll have to like hear about or just happen upon some interaction because it's not going to be spelled out for you.
Yeah, but
And
that's
I
what I'm
do
saying.
love
Like
that.
that's your complexity versus depth. There's a lot of depth there, a lot to learn. Like I guess in racing games, like all your trims and stuff like that, like where exactly the best place to go around corners. It's like lots of depth. Like you can learn that game really in depth, but not complexity. Is in like you don't need to know all these things to be able to race. You just need to know them to be able to beat the really good players. Like it's
I think
yeah.
I think a lot of it is intuit. Can you intuit it reasonably? Can you reasonably intuit it?
Oh,
And
also,
can
is it
enough people
not
reasonably
fun
intuit
for
it?
the sake of being realistic? Like that's like what a lot of
Yeah.
people miss is they went, oh, I want a really realistic game. It's like, no, you don't. That would be real life. That would be boring. You want a game that feels realistic, but in reality isn't realistic. My favorite one's the people go, oh, we'll simulate everything. And it's like, no, but you don't want to simulate everything. That's really slow. What you want to do is come up with a game that works in such a way that you can sort of broadly simulate, like using water calculus simulations rather than particle simulations. You want to be able to go, well, like wave formulas. So you could be like, oh,
Yeah.
yes, instead of tracking where every single rabbit goes, if the player's not in the environment, we will just freeze everything. And when the player comes back, we'll do a broad wave simulation to calculate where the rabbits would have moved to rather than actually keeping track of every single physical rabbit. You know,
Like for
yeah.
as an example along those lines, in a game that I'm making, right? Like we have like if we're interacting with the physics world, right? And it's so like you can have these little fun things that that you could do, like pushing enemies and players and like stuff. But then like when you're out when it's far enough outside of like the viewport, it's just like there's going to be like the the navigation isn't physics based, right?
Yeah.
The navigation, you just translate between the nodes, so it's like, oh, it's simpler and it doesn't need to be complex. You only need to see the complexity. You don't need to feel it being complex if it's like three provinces down or something
Yeah,
like
well,
that. That's just
the other thing
unnecessary.
is, because like a lot of people actually miss this, is that the real simulation will probably make worse results than the simplified version because the real simulation isn't perfect, whereas the simplified one actually is perfect because it's assuming perfect when the player's not there, which means that like you don't end up with the two things accidentally getting stuck because they were trying to both go through a door at the same time. The real world that would never happen, but in your simulation they might. And if you never like if you simulate them always perfectly forever, they just get stuck in the door, and eventually every entity is stuck in that doorway because once two get stuck, then anything that tries to pass through the doorway is going to get stuck. Whereas if you were just sort of vaguely guessing where they may end up, and then putting them there when the player enters that particular room, like with a statistical chance that when the player enters this room and have like certain rules, like if the entity couldn't, like the NPC couldn't have possibly got there without the player seeing them, then obviously they can't just teleport into the room. But like things like that, you can make a way better thing than actually simulating how all the NPCs are walking around because things will break.
Yeah, and also like if you have like an economy, and you really try to simulate that like for true, and it's like complex enough, you're just gonna break the game.
Yeah, it's going to take
Like
forever
it's
to
gonna be
simulate the
unavoidable.
movement of every single good when in reality you can probably get a much more accurate simulation by having a formula that calculates the distribution over time.
And then if you really want to get for something like that, if you really want to get fancy, you could be like, okay, well, you could visualize these goods like moving in the system, but like with people pathfinding or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or moving from node A to node B, but you don't need to like have the good
Yeah, the actual
be.
physical interaction of them having to go through the doorway, they can just teleport from one room
Yeah,
to the next when the player's not around to see them walk.
exactly.
But it's weird that some people like don't get that concept that like they don't need to physically move. We just need to track which room they're in, or like
I want to simulate
yeah.
every particle in the universe.
Yeah, it's the same concept of like you can keep track of what room they're in, but you don't need to keep track of where in the room they are because when the player enters the room, then you just statistically they're most likely to be standing at the TV or sitting on the couch, like making dinner. And you can change those statistics based on the time of day, and the player's not going to know that the NPC's teleporting around the room when they're not in it.
No. And like I know there's like you know how in MOBAs they don't want you to have perfect knowledge. So like with the fog of war, so they'll have some information not go over the wire, but then have like a little band, you know, uh, where you could kind of see you can kind of see a little ways into the fog of war, just a smidgen, just so like it's not
Yeah,
aggressive pop in.
yeah, yeah.
So,
There's a small amount that gets sent to your computer that doesn't necessarily like it's just outside the view of the player, but they don't tell you the entire map because otherwise you can just cheat.
yeah, it's the same thing there. It's like it's not there, or it's scantily it's simulated in a very thin way, you know, with highly simplified, and then the more complicated stuff can just occur like when you're in that vicinity, you know, and with world streaming and whatnot.
Mm.
That's a good strategy to kind of couple with that. But yeah, then everything is like, well, like a lot of games tend to be like, well, we're gonna do everything the most complicated way possible, and when you like
It's weird because people like misconstrue as doing things like simulating something as being the hard way, but a lot of the time simulating something is the easy way. It's I built a physics system, now I throw some particles in it, rather than building a system that makes particles, like coming up with some kind of elegant way of not having to simulate the particles, therefore taking like 100 times less compute to get the same result.
exactly. Depth versus complexity is like the depth and breadth of a decision tree. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So you can make the tree really wide where you could look at every single item, but it's much more interesting if looking at one item makes a different item have a different decision. But also, like the fact that you can look at everything is much more impressive than having like a tree where you don't get any choices and you just keep like you can talk to this NPC and you just keep like it's like 100 lines of dialogue, but that's really boring because you just talk to the same person for 100 lines of dialogue. Instead, if the fact that you look at a rock and it says something, and you look at it something else and it says something, it's much more interesting, I guess, to explore in those kinds of worlds.
I don't remember where it comes from, but there was this developer that said, I want to see a world that's just one single street, but like just a ton of depth to that street. That street is simulated, right?
Right,
Sorry,
yeah.
this street is there's a lot of depth to that street, right? Not a whole world, just one street. I almost think of like Deus Ex Mankind Divided, you know, where they have a pretty small uh play area, you know, for
Yeah,
their
but you
main
can
world.
access literally everywhere inside the play area. Like anywhere you can see, you can get to. But because they knew that was going to be the case, they've made a lot of like the buildings surrounding the block that you can get to are so tall you can't see past them, and therefore like come up with some artificial reason why you can't leave the bounds that they've given you. But if you wanted to explore, you can explore everywhere within the bounds.
Yeah, but if they did that where it's like, oh, it's just a gigantic world, well, then you have to be like, well, at some point you're gonna have to have something that kind of approximates, that kind of makes it be like, okay, well, you can't keep going anymore. Like invisible walls has been the case for a
Mm.
long time. And then like I know in like a what's that, Redfall, they have like the waves and whatnot. Uh that kind of encapsulate the island. At least I
Right.
could say in there it's narratively folded
Yeah, well,
in to
that's
the world.
because my favorite one's the when they talk about procedural generation, and it's like, oh,
Mhm.
procedural generation's the lazy approach. They make a huge world, but it's procedurally generated. So it's like, yes, but that's the point. Is with good procedural generation, it's really fucking hard. It's really hard to make random noise turn into something interesting. So yeah, if you make a big map and fill it with rocks randomly, it's gonna be dog shit. But if
Yeah.
you make a random map and somehow get the rocks that are randomly placed in that map to look like they've been intentionally placed by a human, it takes a hell of a lot more work than just placing them by hand.
And like the thing with like random generation is like there's the levels to that. And it sounds like a generic statement, but like you don't have to. randomize the everything place every place the placement of everything in the world. You could like I know in Enter the Gungeon they have units of rooms that they connect together, and they could randomize which rooms you'll get per floor. But those rooms are like they're handcrafted. You know, uh, they
Yeah,
went
yeah.
through like playtesting which kind of rooms play well with the sort of units that are going to be in this space, and we're like, okay, well now we want it just so it's a little bit fresh every time you play because it is a repetitive game. We're gonna do some generation, but they have both, and you can have both. It's just what at what level, and how far do you take that randomness?
Yeah, it's what a lot of people don't get about a lot of stuff is that making it look like you place something randomly when you placed it by hand is really hard, and making something look like you placed it by hand when it was placed randomly is really hard. So it's doing the opposite of what people think you did is where the
Yeah.
real talent lies.
Like if it's random and it looks random, it's like, oh, okay, well, all right. Like a lot of worlds, everything just blends together, you know?
Yeah.
Everything blends together. And if when you can make it look like parts of this world are well, okay, while it like let's say just the natural environment, right? So we're not taking into account like a city. If you can make this world like this forest look like there are landmarks that are interesting, right? That are
Mhm.
almost intentional, but like make it look almost intentional. You know, that's way better than just having it be scattershot. But a lot of worlds are just when they're random, they're just scattershot. Uh, and it still takes it can still be in fact it can often be more cost effective to have a partially procedurally generated world where you get some things, you get random enemies or you get random versions of the rock or whatever, right? Or you get random room selections or whatever, as opposed to just being like everything gets randomized every single time you jump in. That's needlessly computationally complex
Yeah.
and like just no.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to get something to be completely random when you could have like subsets of like randomly arranging things. I think Spelunky does each room is like pre-built, like the way the map generates is predetermined, but the
Mhm.
order of the rooms is randomized.
Yeah, that's a perfect example there too. And
Mm.
I guess especially like a game like that, where don't the enemies like move around like it's in a similar way that the character moves around, right, with platforming and whatnot?
Uh,
Or do they not do that? I don't remember if they do.
no, I think there's something like the way where the enemies are placed, they have like they route from where the player starts and make sure the enemy can actually get there logically or something like that.
Okay.
There's some kind of weird like yeah, it treats it as if the player could get there or something for certain things. I don't remember how it worked. It was, but yeah, there's certain rules that can't be violated, and that's where they hide the treasure room. Is like, oh, this square violates these rules. We'll just put a secret there instead.
Yes. Faith Daniel said, "Yeah, Stone Shard roguelike is like that. Cities and graveyards are made of several pre-crafted chunks that are always together, not same order. But most of nature is randomized. Yeah, because something like that, it doesn't have to feel as handcraft. It doesn't necessarily have to feel as handcrafted. But once you start seeing, um, something that was crafted by obviously crafted by an intelligent creator, it's like, yeah, if it's just random, it's just bad. Nobody likes that.
Yeah,
Your eyes begin to gloss over the world. It's like, okay, wow, this is just there's this building in this random area. Is there anything to this? Is there any NPC in this? Is there any interesting architecture here? Is it placed in the world in a way that kind of evokes a story? No, it's just
mhm.
fucking plopped in the world. Well, okay.
Yeah, because that's the
Uh,
oh god, man. That's the thing is because we think about like nature isn't random. I'm just continuing on what Daniel said. Is most of nature is randomized, but it's not. Most of nature is what we call chaotic, which is that you could predict exactly why everything got where it was. It's not random. It's just unpredictable in the sense that if you change just a tiny thing here, that tiny thing snowballs into a huge big change. In that snails like something like 99.9% of all snails shells spiral to the right, and they found one snail that shell spiraled to the left, so he couldn't mate with another snail anymore because physically their genitals didn't line up properly. So they had to go and ask people like on Twitter or something to help them find another left snail, and they found two. Like out of like this thing went viral, millions of people saw it, and they found two. It's not so much random as just the chaos of like the real world. It's just so hard to understand,
Predict.
but follows
Yeah.
very strict rules.
Yeah, it's like could you simulate the whole of the universe? Is the universe hypothetically simulatable? Reproducible perfectly from the Big
Mm,
Bang, right? Or
yeah.
whatever actually happened, probably Big Bang, right? Like to the best of our knowledge, probably, like almost certainly, actually. But it's just the
Mm.
chaos is extremely hard to put together with
Yeah,
our brains. We're
if
not
just a
meant for that.
tiny thing is different, then the whole world could come out differently. That's my like big thing about like I personally subscribe to the completely deterministic, like nothing we do is ever actually like in our control. Like free will exists in the sense that you can't force me to do something, but I was going to do it anyway. As in, like, if you had perfect knowledge of the universe, you could build a sequence of rooms that had two doors, and I would always choose the door that led into the next room, but the second door would never be able to be opened because you knew which door I was going to go through. So you just painted a door on the wall or, like made a fake door. But to me, I got to choose every door, but I didn't because if you zoom out, only one of the doors actually goes to the next room anyway. It's just, from the perspective you need perfect knowledge because if I know which door that I'm going to go through, I'm going to go through the other one. But it's like that no matter how many psychologies you go through, it's still going to be known which door I chose in the end. So it's determined. And it's why like in my head, like time travel is possible, but we can't prove it because you would have to have run into yourself to then be able to build time travel in the future, come back to run into yourself. Like if you haven't
You
met
mean
yourself yet.
retroactive time travel? You mean?
No, I mean as in
Because we
like
can
all at once time travel, like fixed in place. The universe from Big Bang to the whatever end of the universe already happened. We are just experiencing it at linear rate. Like we're slowly moving through it as a consciousness. But
mm-hmm.
in the future, if we ever travel back in time, we can't change anything because anything we attempt to change, we had already changed. Not in a like, oh, we just remember it. Like as in, if you go back to kill Hitler, everyone will just assume that Hitler killed himself because there was no one else in the bunker to have done it, when in reality, you had always killed Hitler. That's why we thought he killed him. Like, like you always cause the event that you're trying to prevent. Like it is all already happened. So you can't go
like
meet
the
yourself.
eternalist view,
I'm,
I think it's called.
yeah, maybe, I don't know. Like it's the, I think it's called the bootstrap paradox. The idea that, like nothing caused it. It was always just the case. Like if you travel back in time, if you found the winning lotto ticket and then lost it and then like traveled back in time to give yourself the winning lotto ticket. So you put it somewhere where you'd find it and then you find the winning lotto ticket. Where'd the lotto ticket come from? Nowhere. It just always has been.
Well, I mean, well, okay. Along that lines of a phraseology is like the eternalism view. The eternalist view is like that all time exists.
Yeah.
Like like all time exists. Period.
Yeah.
Like my future exists, my past exists, and as you said, we're just experiencing a shifting slice of reality, due to our consciousness, how our consciousness works. We can't be consciously in different
Yeah.
time frames of time, but the future has already existed, is already in existence, and is as real as the past in that
Yeah.
view.
Yeah. It is very confusing, but yeah, so that's pretty much the idea of like, in concept, it's already happened. You can't change anything because you attempting to change it has already happened and is probably in some way tied to why it's happening. And some shows do it
Yeah.
really well, and then they usually throw it out in the second season because people don't like the concept of like, now you can't really write certain narrative plots because you can't go back and touch anything from the previous season because you didn't see it in the previous season. So the only way, like Doctor Who does it occasionally, where characters will go watch a scene from another perspective, but they can't interfere or whatever reason. It's like, this actually happened, but we didn't see it as the audience because they were standing slightly to the left of the camera, like that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And to me, that's like a much better way because it's so much more restrictive.
Like it avoids paradoxes more reliably, you mean?
Yeah, no, like it's not that it avoids paradox. It's that it's much harder to write because the author can't cop out with paradox. Like if you want a book that does it fucking remarkably well because it never cops out, even when it fakes out the audience that it's gonna cop out, is a book called Hero is Playing, I think it was called. And in this book, there's this guy, like, for some reason, I think the author was just writing whatever came to their head because they literally, like, for some reason it starts in an apocalypse and then the person just randomly teleports to a fantasy world. And then they just like never explain it again until like the third book where they're like, oh yeah, remember there was that monster? Yeah, and then like resolve it in like 2 paragraphs. It's like, yeah, now the monster's dead. Okay. Like as if like they started writing a book and then rather than scrapping the beginning, they just made that the beginning of their another book. But anyway, the plot is like they're in some kind of like medieval time where they compete in like a game, like a video game level of thing. But the winner of the game like actually gets to be a politician sort of thing. Like instead of having elections, they compete in like war games, and then the winner of the war games is, like, oh, you must be a really good strategist, so you get to lead, I guess. But that it's great because at the end of each chapter, you get to see his actions from someone else's perspective. So in his own head, you get his narration, and he's going about how he's such an idiot, like he trips over and he, like face plants, and he's going, oh, I'm such an idiot, and then you hear it from someone else's perspective, and they're drawing back the arrow to shoot him, and then he trips over and it flies over his head and it hits someone else, and then like they're going, man, what a genius, he must have known, he must have, like, and it's really funny because you can see why they think he's a genius, and you can see why he thinks he's fucking up all the time. And then what I'm saying, like where I'm going, like, man, they really tried to cop it out, is at the end of the book, he completes some additional game that's like set forth by a god that gives him one wish. And he wishes to go back and fix his bad luck. And turns out that that's why he'd had bad luck throughout the entire book, is because it was him traveling back in time and fucking with himself, like tripping himself over and shit. Because he thought he was going to give himself good luck, but he perceived that as bad luck. And he'd been causing all these things the entire time. That's why he always tripped over at the perfect moment, is because there was him from the future tripping him over.
Oh, that is true. Well, excuse the pun, but it is very trippy.
Yeah, and what was great is that it's one of those books that if you go back and read it again, you can see that every single, like, like, because they sort of in the end final book, they went back and they like explained some of them, but it's like you can then go back and read the book again and see that every single one of them is plausible to be like, the future him's trying to, stop this from happening, so he breaks a branch off, and that's the branch he trips on. Like, you can see that everything is all linked together, but it only works because the author had from the beginning that as the intention. So all of the scenes where the bad luck comes into it are scenes that have that, you can see why the bad luck came from future him implementing problem. Or at least that's how I remember it. Maybe it wasn't that in depth and it was just all dumb.
Oftentimes, time travel really does ruin movies because people don't implement it right, and it just becomes like a series of either a series of paradoxes that never get resolved, or they just like every solution just seems hacky and cheap, you know. Some people just don't like the like say multiversal solutions. Like I'm not a fan of that either.
Yeah, no, I think again, multiverse is a cop out. It's the how do I get both? Like, how do I have my cake and eat it too? So Daniel's asking about
and you don't eat it.
Quantum time travel simulation like that. I don't remember anything specifically about because it's the thing is the quantum time travel is, it is truly random. It is the multiverse. Like you can with quantum time travel break these rules. But one thing I'm thinking of is Dirt Gently is another, like, it's on Netflix and you should watch it.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
That's the same concept.
A lovely movie.
Like that is actually like the exact time travel where, like, from the beginning, the characters, you actually see both copies of the characters, but you don't know that they're both copies of the characters. One's wearing a mask, and it's not until the end where we follow it through with the one that, from our linear time, we follow him. Yeah. Turns out That's where he is. And then you find out that the guy that disappeared, who invented the time travel machine like 100 years ago, turns out he just traveled to the future and was doing this stuff because at some point they travel back in time and tell him that he needs to come to the future. That's why the inventor of the time machine disappeared, is because he traveled to the future because he received a note from the future saying he needed to.
I love how we just out here spoiling all kinds of great media.
It does make not really a spoiler, like in the sense that like that show is so great even if you watch it again. Like to me,
Oh, yeah,
spoilers are
absolutely.
only a problem because that's the best kind of spoiler, because that's the spoiler that anyone who's watching, who goes and watches the show now, is going to be looking for the clues, which will just make them enjoy the show so much more because they'll look for those small details and they're actually there to find. They're not going to go looking for
That
the details and then find out that they're not there. Like that is all in our,
but
it's all imaginary.
but that's like why reading that book again, rereading that book would be good. Whereas a lot of times you don't,
Yeah.
usually you don't want to reread a book unless it's been a long time you want to enjoy it
Oh no,
again. But
I don't mind rereading books as long as it doesn't rely on a twist. That's the big, if it's got a twist and the twist is bad, then you don't want to read it again.
you mean M. Night Shyamalan?
I don't
Everything,
know.
like everything he's ever made it. Well, not ever, but a lot of his movies are like their twists are fucking awful.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think what movies he's done, but like
The Village, I believe, is one awful twist. I'm not gonna spoil it, but awful twist. I wouldn't even
yeah.
suggest you watch it. But it's been like 100 minutes, so I mean, over an hour. Is the jam started yet?
Yeah,
Jam
I've been
started?
slowly working at it, but like my brain is not functional. I'm trying to build a noise map generator thing to make a test plane so that when I can move my map around and make my camera around and make sure it's actually like moving with the terrain and not just flying flat. But like I'm drawing a mental blank. Like it's been so long since I've coded Bevy. Like I think like the most I've done with Bevy was making a thing that like compiled like each version of Bevy to see how much faster each version got than the previous one without changing any of the code. Like it's just like the engine itself. And before that, it was like probably 6-9 months before I touched Bevy, like since I touched Bevy last.
Have there been, like, I would assume, given what they've said on each like update, that it's pretty substantial. But in your testing, how has it been?
About each version of Bevy seems about the same until you get to 13. 13 is ridiculous. I did a post
Really?
on YouTube about it, like, and I've posted my results. Let's see if I can find that content.
Did you even release that video yet? Because
No, I was still working on it. I just posted a thing being like, it's ridiculous how much of an improvement there is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's one person saying he's getting like 2020 frames per second with some. Oh, what?
It's just gotta go over to my other thing and wait for it to catch up so I know when you can see it. But I also love how YouTube's very slowly leaving behind. Okay, so in my results, I've just got them up on the stream. You should be able to see them. Is that like the number of rings is how many hexagons, like a ring of hexagons, it can spawn before it drops below 30 FPS. And then I've wrote the actual number of hexagons next to that, just because otherwise it's not apparent that this is actually exponential. Each ring of hexagons contains more hexagons than the last, and you can see the jump from 12 to 13. Like it is insane.
That is massive. What the? Oh yeah.
Yeah, part of that jump is actually because it gets so big that they start going off the screen, and I think that means that it can grow more rings because they start getting culled. But even that's a sign of the optimization, because that implies that at one point in Bevy, because there was no screen culling for a while, I redid the test without like making sure that every hexagon stayed in screen, and it was still like a 60% increase or something. Like it's pretty like, considering that literally the difference between the example is 2 letters, and that's changing the 12 to a 13, and I had to put an ampersand sign because they changed how the diagnostics are handed in. That is the only changes in the entire thing.
That is wild. And apparently, due to Martin Scher, I think that's how he's pronounced his name, Martin Scher. He updated his project to 13, and even the battery is lasting so much longer.
Yeah, because it's insane. Like I remember I did a project on like a Raspberry Pi that I was trying to run Bevy on, and I
Mhm.
enabled the minimum plugins, and it shredded that Pi because minimal plugins doesn't have a frame rate limiter. So it was running at like 200 FPS and just like using up all the CPU on the thing, doing nothing, just running frames as fast as it could. And I was going like, damn, like it couldn't do anything else but run Bevy because there was no frame rate limiting. That's how Bevy used to be. Like I used to compile Bevy. My computer would
Mhm.
spool up while the compiler's running, and then my computer would die when Bevy launched because every single core would be maxed out. Like it just never throttled anything. It would just run as fast as it could. And
And is
that's
that usually how you want that to be? Like
no,
all
no. That's why
cores.
they put the throttle in. Like that's why they capped it at 60 FPS. It's because it was doing like I was on because my current computer is sort of a downgrade in the like one of the things I upgraded meant that I can't have as much RAM and all that because they just don't sell it in DDR5 and that kind of stuff. But my
Yeah.
old one was just so much faster, and it would you wouldn't be able to do anything but your game because it'd be running at 2000 FPS as it rendered a grey screen because it would render
Yeah.
until it couldn't render anymore. It was absolutely insane, and it was actually pretty funny. And then they patched that in like 0.4, I think, was when they introduced the frame cap. Because yeah, it wasn't good for your computer. That when it's once it finished decompiling, all your fans would finish compiling, all your fans would kick on to full speed because your CPU was 100%, no matter how
Yeah.
good your
Suddenly you
computer
have
was.
a jet plane in your apartment, so
Yep,
that's nice.
no matter how good your computer is, 100%.
Or PS5.
Yep,
But
everything
yeah,
was
it's like,
flawed. It's pretty funny as
but
fuck.
like the fact that when you are running at 100%, you get great frame rates.
Oh
That's
yeah,
good. I mean, obviously when you start actually adding things, um, and like I know in Unity, you can do that very easily. It's just by default, you'll when you run a build, you're gonna get like a
oh
2,000, 3,000, 4 on shitty computers, by the way.
yeah, but
But
that's
on
my favorite thing about Bevy that I've seen people go, oh,
Mhm.
Bevy's so slow compared to what they claim that it's going to do, and I'm like, no, 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 you're just an idiot because if I find my Bevy through the versions, this is the project. Well, it's kicked me over to my other monitor. We don't want people to see that. Uh, this is the actual results. So it got 48 rings before it dropped below 30 FPS, which is 28,000 entities, which is just pretty good.
Nice.
Um, but oh yeah, but if I just do like release, release dash dash, it should work. I hope I spelled that
Do you
right.
have parallelization on as well?
Don't know. But let's just see how many rings it gets when I compile and release. Still going, still going, still going.
Oh wow.
It got to
Wow.
254 rings in release. So
Holy
you
shit.
can see that debug 48 rings, release 254 rings. And again, exponential growth of each ring, which means that's 770,000 entities that it was doing versus 28,000 entities. Only difference, release versus debug.
Yeah, I can't wait for this thing to get this editor to get this framework to get an editor, man. Like,
Yeah.
and here's the thing, like with all the convenience, with all the architectural woes of Unity, right? I think a lot of people will jump ship, and a lot of people will jump ship due to channels like yours. In fact, largely because you're an early bird, and you're really sounding the alarm to this alternative. It's gonna explode, and they don't take a single dime at all. I'm like, yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah. Have you seen some of the other channels out there that are making content? I kind of feel bad because
Some,
like my
yes,
content's
some.
like I'll knock it together in an afternoon and be like, yeah, and then I'll get like 1,000 views. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, and then there's these other people that like they've got actual like edited videos that are like, like everything's moving. I'm like, man, I wish I could do that. Um,
You gotta put the power of your ADHD to work, brother. Learn Adobe Premiere or something like that,
Well,
or
no,
just
it's
hire
like,
an editor. Just throw
yeah,
money at somebody to do it
no,
for you.
that's my thought, is to throw money at someone to do it. As I said in like I think my last video before the most recent one, like the Bevy update, as I was like, hey, like, does someone know like someone that wants to edit my videos? Because I don't care about paying someone because it just means like I may not make as much content because but I like would love to be able to hire someone to like make thumbnails or like edit my videos because my biggest constraint is that I hate the sound of my own voice and it's so hard to edit videos.
Literally because of your own voice.
Yeah, like I don't like listening to myself talk. Like I can't. I hear stumbles and I'll go re-record bits because I just didn't like the way it sounds, despite the fact it didn't sound like there was probably nothing wrong with it. I just don't like it. It's that perfectionist kind of thing.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, cause your voice sounds normal, bro. Your voice sounds just fine. What the
Yeah,
hell?
but so,
But yeah,
so there's
no,
a thing.
perfectionist.
You don't hear your own voice. You hear the resonation of your voice through your jawbone into your ear, which means that
Yeah,
you sound different to yourself than you sound to everyone else. So if
yeah.
you go record your voice onto like your phone and play it back, you will sound really weird.
I know. In real life, to other people, I sound like a prepubescent girl. To myself, I sound like a smooth, sexy man. No, far from no, not reality. Clamp that ego, brother. But you sound just fine, brother. You sound
Yeah, but
just fine.
that's what I mean. It's like it's I just can't stand my own voice to edit. So a lot of my editing is cutting out all the flubs, all the quiet bits, and like I'll do like 2 editing passes. I'll go through cutting everything out, go through make sure I haven't fucked anything up, and then that's it. Like I do my videos with a slideshow so that I don't have to try and line up visuals and audio and all this, like just to get around the fact that I don't like listening to myself while I'm editing videos. And then occasionally I'll miss something and people will like, oh man, like you did this, or like I cut out a word or something. I'm like, yes, but I'm not going to listen to the same video like 4 times to try and find all of those because I don't like my voice. But like, if I had an
Daniel,
editor, I could
why
just
do you have to do that?
record.
Daniel just
Um,
said, get an AI
no,
narrator.
see, this is how ahead of the times I am, but my brain can't keep up. Like, or like my skill level can't keep up. Way back before this AI boom happened, like back when my channel had like 10, 15 videos on it, I was going to make an AI voice clone of myself. And then I was going to use that so I could just write a script and have the video come out. And so instead of having to edit the audio that I recorded, I could just edit the script at the bits that I'm like, no, that doesn't sound right. Just change that. And then I don't have to worry about accidentally duplicating shit because if I read the script and it's not duplicated.
No, but here's the thing: is like he was right. Like channels like Cold Fusion, like for the largely it'll be indistinguishable from a human being.
Yeah.
If it's done well. But then it'll get really strange pronunciations and then really strange like tonal changes. Like you'll be like, local donkey fell to his fell from the third floor and died. It's
And
like,
yeah, I was like,
is that a question?
I actually like went all the way to the point of like actually downloading like this GitHub project that was like, I think it's some kind of voice cloning thing. I was like, man, and I just couldn't get it to work because like I was just an idiot. I can't work out AI for the life of me. But like I was like, that's how ahead of the curve I was. I was like, I'm gonna start my because I wasn't gonna clone someone else's voice. Like, I wasn't gonna make the shitty AI that everyone else is doing. Like I was gonna clone my own voice. Like maybe even just to fix edits in the video, so I didn't have to go back and re-record like an entire sentence. I could just like AI cut the single words in. And because I've seen like there's all sorts of really cool editing software. Like there's one that I saw that like it would automatically cut out all the silent spots. Like it would cut all the breaths and stuff out of your video automatically. Like the AI would just go through your video, so you could just give it like all your untrimmed audio, and it would just goes like chop 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 chop, and there's like now you have the actual video that you need to edit because it's cut all that shit out, and works really well because nobody else notices that you've done it because it's shit that like it's just instead of me watching the video 3 times while I cut everything out, as this AI does it in 30 seconds.
Or you would have the or you have the inverse where they cut out everything but the breathing.
Yeah, I like that. That is creepy. I just fucking. He's just like, oh my fucking. Just fucking. Well, gotta love my. I can hear my PC fans kick up because I just told it to always optimize Bevy in optimization level 3. I forgot that I always forget to put this in. Like this is one of those things. Like this is probably the first thing I ever read that went, I should make a YouTube video just for this piece of information, which is to put the profile.dev.packages wildcard opt level equals 3. Just because it like,
makes a huge difference.
Oh, it's insane. Like I had a project that like I could not do it without that because it would run at like 3 FPS, but you do that and suddenly it runs at fucking like million miles an hour.
Nightmare on Festus Street.
Yeah, Nightmare on Festus Street. There's that Winnie the Pooh movie, like fucking where it's like it went into public domain, so they just like immediately made a horror movie out of it. Winnie the Pooh, just you just hear like squelching honey noises.
I'm sure that's the most safe for work thing that has come out recently about that. I'm sure there's a lot of rule. What is it? 30.
Rule 34.
Rule 34. Rule 34 with Winnie the Pooh and what was it Mickey Mouse?
Mickey, no, Steamboat Willie. Mickey Mouse.
Probably some shipping or something. God, blood is sweeter than honey. Blood is sweeter than honey.
Oh
God.
Yeah, it's Winnie the Pooh. He's just got like a person, and he's just the bottom half, just eating the organs instead of a pot of honey.
Oh my God! I haven't seen it yet. Now I'm like, I want to see it.
I actually don't know if that's in it, but that's what I'm picturing. It's just Pooh. Like, cause all I saw was the trailer, like, because everyone thought it was a joke, like, because the trailer came out before it went into the public domain, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's parodied," and then like the actual movie came out like the day of, and everyone was like, "Wait, is it real?"
But is that a YouTube movie or like a
No, I think it's like a legitimate like
DVD
actual company. No, I think it was in theaters.
What? Sorry, what? What?
I'm pretty sure it was Winnie Pooh, Blood and Honey is a 2013 British independent slasher film produced, directed, written, and by Rye Rank Waterfield. Is a series of horror remaining to A.A. Mills and E.H. So it's an actual like movie.
That is beyond shocking, but beautiful. I love it. You know, I love people just saying,
talking about Faith Daniel. I'm talking about what?
I think he's saying that's what he's the blood is sweeter than honey. That's from that movie.
Oh yeah. I get that. I thought that was going to continue somehow.
Yeah, it is a bit like I'm assuming because he's given foreign currency that he is not native English speaker.
oh, okay, yeah. But yeah, it's like I think it's only about a matter of time before they do that with Mickey Mouse. I'm surprised that it wasn't done with. Wait, hold on. How much longer? For how much longer did we have Winnie the Pooh in the public domain than Mickey?
Winnie the Pooh entered public domain last year, 1st of January 2023, I believe.
So only like 1 year, but yeah, okay, damn.
But as I'm saying, the Winnie the Pooh movie came out way like they must have already been making it and then released it when it went into public domain because like it was way too close.
Yeah, they knew which way the wind was blowing. They're like, oh no. It's gonna release. Let's just make it now. Yeah.
Waste not, want not. I'm not, but
Oh, okay.
what is this? Djibouti dubs?
Yeah, he's saying he's not a native speaker, and Dubs did a like a voiceover parody, so I'm assuming they like had a thing of Winnie the Pooh when they were doing the making him say things.
Yeah, that just reminds me of honestly, I actually thought that so I only saw the thumbnail, so I thought that was a Meat Canyon like joke or something like that.
Yeah, that
because that's his whole shtick. Do you know who Meat Canyon is?
No, we can't see the link. I don't think links are turned on or something. I'm not sure. I don't see any link at least. Mm.
No, you're superior, Daniel. Clearly judging by the like $60 you've spent already. You're clearly superior.
Mm. Yeah. What am I trying to do? I keep forgetting. I'm gonna make like a hash map of nodes or something. Mm. Mm.
Christopher Robin trailer dub. Will do, will do.
Oh yeah, because the Christopher Robin movie came out like 5 years ago, like 2016 or something. Um, which obviously would be a great. Oh yeah, no, I do remember that. Because they did the voiceover and dubbed it like it was a horror movie, but like actually, I think they just used the original trailer. Like it's not like they edited it or anything, other than maybe making it like darker, like just colored
Oh,
balance wise. And
yeah.
they just like dubbed over the whole thing, like just made it like spooky.
Yeah. Adam plays is another streamer, and they did that with because they did a streamer. They were playing the Cat in the Hat game, based off of
Yeah.
the uh, the the early 2000s Mike Myers movie, and they 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 saw clearly that this could easily be turned into a horror trailer, or maybe even just a whole horror movie with how weird and fucked up it was, and they did just that. I'll actually even link it, or you know,
Mm.
you know. But it is the funniest thing. I don't even know if links will work, but I'll try this. Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfection. Look at it now. Thank me later.
Yeah. No, don't see no link.
You don't
Nope.
see it at all?
Nothing. I'm assuming it's just
That's fucking...
like not even sending it because it's got a link, just disappearing into
Oh,
YouTube.
okay. It's being filtered out. Well, that's fair. Shady link. Shady. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's something I can control or whether it's just shady
It's
link.
probably for the best.
Oh yeah,
At some
probably.
point, if you get big, people are gonna send like there's gonna be like bots and sending shady links to like porn sites or something.
Mm.
Yeah, Daniel's been around the block a couple times. He knows how this works.
Sorry for being quiet. I am like actually trying to work on my thing just a little bit, and it's really hard to talk and think at the same time.
Yeah, that is a surprising one. But I mean, you could mask links. So I mean, you can have a link that looks like a YouTube, and they're like, nah, just in case we're gonna head that off, and just no links at all. Unless that's, of course, that's like an option that you can allow or disallow. I know in like Twitch, you get a lot of shady, just a wall of shady links.
Yeah, I think it's something like I've seen a setting somewhere. I don't know if it was on YouTube or somewhere else that was like you can like enable links or like allow them to be sent or something. I'm not quite sure though. And so I don't want to go digging through my the control panel like in the middle of a stream. But I'm pretty sure it's just like a safety thing that you can enable and disable like in the settings somewhere.
Like, I don't know if any of you guys watch Jonathan Blow and know his language and whatnot.
No, I can't say.
No,
I do.
you've never heard of Jonathan Blow? He made the game The Braid and The Witness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
No Braid.
he
Yeah. Witness. That's the puzzle game, yeah.
yeah. Time related to what we were talking about before, because it was a time manipulation puzzle game.
Yeah, I remember the puzzles. I don't remember the plot. I just remember like watching YouTubers not be able to understand that you had to draw a straight line.
Yeah. Like special videos. You don't play it for the plot. You know, you don't watch it for the plot. It's gameplay, brother, gameplay. But like he's working on a new language giant, and like I remember kind of idiotically, I posted in the YouTube forums, hey, maybe there could be a possibility that we could use Jai like switch to Jai language, and then I'm like, and then like, hold on, brother, is it done yet? Oh, nowhere near done. Calm down then. None of them is too toxic to watch. I'm out, as well as deciding. So what do you mean like by toxic?
Exciting.
He is very rude, I will say. He does not give a single solitary shit. That's partly why I like him so much.
So I can get what you mean by when like Zoding is rude, because I actually do watch Zoding occasionally. But like my main thing with him is he's not necessarily being rude, but more pointing out that like a lot of us do have that hang up that we latch onto, and his style is basically what we were talking about before, where we were going about like people don't get these concepts, and then but we weren't directly shitting on them, but because he streams alone, he just kind of directly shits on people for that thing of like he goes on about the bike shitting and stuff, like where you're so concerned about how something looks before you finish how it functions, and he's going like, no, just get it working first, then decide how it looks. Because people would ask him questions when he's designing his own language, and they're like, oh, what about this? And he goes, I don't know, I haven't got there yet. Like, why does it matter? And that kind of thing is like, if you spend all the time trying to design the thing until it's perfect, you won't get it made. So he does a lot of stuff where he just throws shit at the wall, that kind of thing, and then like he shits on Rust people because the type safety and all that, and he's going like, he's got no problem with Rust. He has a problem that everyone says that he should be programming in Rust, and it does come across as rude because the way he phrases it. It does just sound like he's shitting on everyone.
I've seen him kind of critique a Rust talk on how to handle entity. I think it was how to handle entity relations or something like that. Some lady who was giving a talk, and the whole time he would get most of that stream, he was kind of agreeing with her for the most part. He had not, I wouldn't say surface level disagreements, but like it wasn't like he wasn't saying that, oh, you're bad and you should feel bad, something like that. He wasn't shitting on her for
but for doing what
doing things that have been done before, treading over going over well-tread ground. But he's like, yeah, this has been done before. The thing you're doing is not something that you need Rust to do. You simply are able to do that in Rust, and you're working around Rust rather than working with Rust, to make the best out of Rust, specifically Rust.
Well, that's my thing, because a lot of people have said like the big issue with Rust is that you didn't learn Rust first. Like they're going like, they know people that Rust is the first language, because technically Rust isn't my first language, but it's definitely the first language I actually learned to a competent enough level. Like C# I think was probably my first language because I did some Unity games, but like I never really finished a game with C#. But I don't have that much problem with the borrow checker, and if I ever do have problems with the borrow checker, it's because I'm doing something wrong. Whereas people that like learnt C and were actually competent at C, they would get so stuck because they're trying to do something that's really easy in C. But it's like, but the reason it's easy is because you can just do it. But like that doesn't mean it's correct. Whereas like I've had issues where I'm like, why won't it let me compile this? Because I had the the local variable in the wrong scope. It was in like the outer loop instead of the inner loop of a for loop, and it kept saying, "Hey, you're trying to reuse this after it's been dropped, or it's like you're trying to mutate it twice."
Yeah.
And I was going, "What's wrong with it?" And then I went, "Oh yeah, that would have been so much harder to find if it was just doing something differently sometimes because it's in the wrong loop." But because Rust was like, "No, you can't edit this because it's in the other loop," it just I didn't read the error message more, and this is like my first program ever written Rust, and I was going, "Why are you not working? It works in C sharp. It works in C sharp because it was broken." You know, like it's that weird thing of like, if you're running into issues with the borrow checker, it's because you're trying to do something wrong. There are legitimate cases that you need to go around the borrow checker, but the point with the borrow checker is you should know that you need to go around it to do this. You shouldn't be going, "Why is the borrow checker stopping me?" If you are actually supposed to be poking around in that area, you should know enough to know the borrow checker was going to get in your way. That's one of the things that Zodin goes on about, like how it's not really that safe because all you can, if you really want to index into memory that may be out of, you can just take an index into an array. There you go. Now you can index into memory that may not be assigned anymore because you don't know if that index is still valid because you, the programmer, have made your own pointer. You've just gone around Rust systems.
Yeah, I'll say that like
Yeah, no, it's, the ECS
like
isn't
it's
working
easy.
around the borrow
It's
checker.
easy.
That's not what I mean.
Mm. Yeah, it's easy to like get like when you have a history of just doing the same thing again and again in a different way, and it just always worked. It's just a pain in the ass to get to unlearn that.
Yeah.
And like if somebody tells you, "Hey, just get," there's a phrase that seems to equate to "get good." I could see why people would think, "Wow, that's pretty fucking rude," you know. If they're in that mode where they're really frustrated at the moment of, "Oh, well, this is pissing me off," and this person's just now at this point saying, "Oh, I just need to get good," when it could be a get good thing, but like you're not really in the space and in the mindset to take that in the way that it was meant,
Yeah.
and oftentimes it's like they don't care how you take it. Like I know with John, he doesn't give a fuck how you take it. But he doesn't go out specifically to
Yeah.
offend you all the time. Sometimes he
I
does.
I don't know what,
But
like whether it's just me or like and YouTube's trying to push something in my direction, or whether it's actually just a general trend on YouTube. But boy, have I seen a lot of videos lately with the thumbnails that are trying to provoke like Rust people to come and attack them because they're like, "Why people hate Rust," or 10 reasons you shouldn't
no,
use Rust, and I'm going like, right, but
I've
like,
seen those too.
yeah, so it's obviously something that people have like clued on to. Like, if you say you don't like Rust, then everyone that likes Rust will come tell you how you're wrong. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of the big problem with Rust is that everyone can't shut the fuck up. Like, I agree, like it's really good, but don't tell people that they're bad because they're using C++. Don't tell people to use Rust. Just make projects, and when they go, "Oh, how'd
Yeah,
you do that?" you can be like, "Oh, it's Rust," like, or tell people how great Rust is, but don't go telling them they have to use it. I think the
yeah,
main
that's dumb.
reason for telling people to use Rust is because at the moment, like a lot of things like Linux are having issues where it's all written in C, and they want to write some in Rust, but because C is unsafe, like the Rust code doesn't want to play nice because it's like, oh, you're trying to bring code that's not written in Rust in, so it's like you got to write all these wrappers around it so that you can bring it in and use C code, and it's like, and they've even said like Linux will probably never go to Rust, like the core engine, just the drivers, because that's what drivers do
Mhm.
anyway. They already have to interface, so it's like you're just doing the same thing. But it was just that weird thing of like, I've just suddenly seen such a boom of people like being like, "This is why I hate Rust," and then you like look at the thumbnail and the title, and they don't even really line up. Like it's almost always one of those you can tell it's clickbait because their
Yeah,
title is something reasonable, but their thumbnail is like, "I hate Rust," and you're like, I know that "I hate Rust" would just do so badly in the search terms, so you can tell that their actual title is a reasonable title. Like that's how you know it's clickbait, it's when the title and the thumbnail don't match. Anyway, when I was saying working around the borrow check, right, like I specifically mean things like unsafe, not the ECS. Like the ECS is entirely the thing. Like it's a abstraction on top that lets you work with the borrow checker. I'm talking about like working around the borrow checker is something like if I went like like we'll just make a vector like this, right? And then I'd be like vec dot push one. and like vec dot push 2. And then if I went like iterated through this list somehow and then said like I want my let my index equal to 1, which would be the number 2, which is somewhat confusing because zeroed index, but it confuses everyone who's not a programmer, but programmers like no zeroed index is the only way to go. But so I've now decided that the value I want is 2, so I've got the index of 1. And if I then went, you know, vec like dot pop, and then we like vec dot push, and then we push a 3. And then I went, oh, I need to access my value. What was my value? And then we go like vec.index. It's going to be the wrong value because I've worked around the borrow checker. Rather than borrowing this piece of information, I've stored a reference to where this piece of information could possibly be found. And this allows me to have a reference to something that can be mutated, which is working around the borrow checker. Like I am intentionally going out of my way to go around the borrow checker, because if I did, instead, if I said index, or it wouldn't be index anymore, it'd be value, but if I said like a value equals, we needed something that's not copy, that's the problem. I guess this, because that's not copy. There you go. So now it's a reference to this. This shouldn't compile. We'll just do that. I don't know if this is going to work, because it's not going to show me the errors until it goes to compile it. Oh, little. I don't know. Somewhere in my code, there's something that's stopping the compiler from displaying my red lines. 2, 1. No, this apparently works, which is confusing because it shouldn't be allowed. Oh, because it's referencing it. That no. 1. I don't know how it's. This shouldn't be allowed because I'm borrowing something that I'm then mutating the. Maybe mutable reference. No, because it's still... Okay, well, ignore me, apparently. I don't know what I'm talking about. But this shouldn't work. I'm assuming because it's an F32. Like, maybe if we replaced it with a string, vector strings. Anyway, the idea is that, like, by using an index instead of taking a borrowed reference, maybe it's .get, like vec.get to. I apparently don't know what I'm talking about because for some reason I can... actually, maybe we print index then? Oh, it's probably because it's dropping before it's being used. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, the borrow checker was smarter than I am and it beat me. But anyways, like that's what I'm saying. This is working around the borrow. Like this is the proper way to do it in Rust. Get a reference to the option, and then you can't modify the vector until you've stopped using the index. Whereas if I just took an index to the position in the array, that's working around the borrow checker. Like that when I say working around the borrow checker, I mean like if you intentionally do something that you know the borrow checker won't check but will be unsound, or in some cases you don't know that it'll be unsound, but a lot of the time what ends up happening is the borrow checker makes it really hard to do things like that by accident. And people complain about the borrow checker makes these things impossible. And it's like, well, if it's making it hard, it's because you're doing it wrong. Or you don't understand the topic enough to realize that you need to use unsafe. Like, it is okay to use unsafe. Like, I saw something like, it's like someone asking if unsafe was that much faster. And I kind of looked at it and went, wait, unsafe doesn't change the optimization. Like, it doesn't make your code run any faster using unsafe. Like, I'm pretty sure it doesn't even remove the... bounds checks, because like someone was saying that it's because it removes all the like overflow checks and stuff like that when you're in unsafe code. I'm like, I don't think it does. It just lets you do shit that you probably shouldn't be doing. But it was that whole like they're going like sometimes it's actually faster to use safe code, but I was like it's more that unsafe code lets you access things that otherwise don't necessarily have to be sound. So okay, so, right. So unsafe code will actually let you index into an array out of bounds and not crash, because I'm pretty sure it'll still just crash. Like I thought the bounds checks were more of a debug versus not debug mode than they were a safe versus unsafe. Like if I compile in debug mode, yes, there will be bounds checks, but if I then compile and release, those bound checks are gone. Like, well, at least they should be. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I didn't think that there was that much of a difference between safe and unsafe code in terms of how the compiler handles it. You can do unchecked things, but you have to explicitly call unchecked. Like, and that's because unchecked is almost always unsafe. Like if we go into Bevy, it's like Bevy's got lots of these. We can say like assets dot get. No, we'll just open the actual asset thing. 'Cause I know there's some of them somewhere. Better it's not in here. There's an unsafe function somewhere. I'm sure of it. Oh, don't take a screenshot. Don't move. Unsafe. Nope, apparently this entire file is safe. Maybe it's the asset server then. Just go asset server to get there. This has not been as productive as I was expecting. I get too distracted by other shit. Unsafe. No? Okay. We're gonna go assets, and then we're gonna go asset storage. No, I'm just trying to think like the shortest path to unsafe code that I know exists. Got to be in here, right? Somewhere in here there was an unchecked. Actually, it may not even be unsafe. It's literally just called unchecked because it's slow, like it's faster, but it doesn't check. Typed unchecked. So this is the kind of thing that unsafe will make faster, and it's not even unsafe. It's literally just that that Bevy doesn't check it. So when we say type unchecked, we're saying I've already checked it, just convert it. Whereas if we go it's debug checked, typed, it says let OK equals self dot try typed else. Like it will panic. If we unchecked, it won't panic. It'll just do. They're like, it's not, oh, it's faster because we don't have to do this if try check, like this bit faster. But the only difference really is that they panic or not. Like it's and try object is tries from, and like it's just this long line of things. But like a lot of the time, the difference in performance is because you'll have unchecked. But that's not like that unsafe code is slower if you're using the same functions, that you can use faster functions in unsafe code. Because yeah, you can remove bounce checks, but like it's more of an intentional thing. Like putting all of my code in unsafe isn't going to make it faster. It'll just let me access things that are faster. And therefore it's only really relevant for if you're doing something where you intend to put the extra performance. That makes sense. Like if you're actually like developing something for an embedded code, some kind of thing like that, where you actually need that extra performance, and you are going to therefore use unsafe functions that the developer of has removed the bounce checks. It's not a like 1+2 does anything different in unsafe versus safe. Does that make sense? I feel like I've confused myself now. What are we doing? We're trying to render a mesh. Insert attributes, mesh, attributes, position.
I actually have to go, but it was nice being on the stream with you, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Have a great day, and thanks for teaching us, brother.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to wrap the stream up at some point. I'm hoping to like at least get something rendering to the screen, but the stream probably become really boring once you're gone because I'm not gonna have someone to talk to, so I'll be able to focus on just getting things done.
Damn, every streams needs a lol cow. I'm proud to be yours, brother. Okay. See ya.
See ya. They said a lol cow. Yeah, very, very unreliable narrator. But at least a funny narrator. See, that's the important thing. You need a narrator that's interesting to listen to. Yeah, it's the dirty truth. All right. See ya. Maybe I'll catch you on the next stream. I'm hoping to be streaming a lot for the next like week or so. Okay, so the index is we need to like iterate through and the number of triangles. This is just why I've got paint open. So we're gonna have a dot. Okay. Here we're gonna so we're gonna have one dot, and we're gonna have another dot, and another dot, and so on. Yeah. Then we're gonna have this dot, and then this dot, and then this dot. And so this is gonna be 0, and this is going to be 32. And then to draw a triangle, we need a triangle from 0 to 1 and 0 to 32. All right. Cheers for the just the absolutely overwhelming amount of money you've given me tonight. Like, this is more money than I think I've made from YouTube since I've been doing it, just in this one live stream. Technically, I've made more from Patreon, but that's like, I also feel like kind of bad for these people because I feel like someone just forgot that this on my Patreon because like I hadn't uploaded a video for like 5 months and they're still Patreons. I was like, oh, like man. But yeah, it's been great. And maybe you'll catch future streams because again, like I'm planning to stream a lot over the jammed period because I've got the ability to. So yeah, it's been fun. All right. Yeah, so back to another thing. So we need to generate triangles, and so the number of triangles is equal to 31. Right, because there'll be 31 triangles across, and then there'll be maybe more. All right. So there'll be so we need to do like 31 rows, 31 columns, and 2 triangles in each. Right? This... Yeah. Okay, I think that's right there. YouTube number 1. Okay, so we need to just say like for x in 0 dot 32 31 for z in 0 dot 31 we need to say let mute in indices equals that new. Okay, and then we're going to say indices dot push. So it'll be x indices dot push x plus 1 indices dot push x plus 32, and then indices dot push let's go back to our drawing. So it's 0, and then we need to say 1 32 33. So it would be x plus 1 indices dot push x plus 32, right? Because they share that corner, don't they? That's not counterclockwise, it's indices plus 33, and then indices dot push push x plus 32. So let's go here. So we're going 0 1 32. That should do that triangle, and then 1 33, 32. It should draw that triangle. And then apparently we don't need the z at all. Right, no, it's x plus z times 32. X plus z times 32. I was going like, why do we need the z? Plus z times 32. This go plus z times 32. All right, just to make the stream somewhat educational now that we've lost our what do you say it was lolcow. What we're doing here is we've basically got a grid of 32 dots going across and 32 dots going down, and we're drawing triangles between them. So the triangles will be drawn at whatever dot we're on, the +1 in the x direction, and then +1 in the z direction, which for every +1 in the z direction is plus 32. So that's how we end up doing this. So it's so the dot we're on, and then the dot we're on +1, the dot we're on +1z, and then the dot we're on +1, the dot we're on +1 and +1z, so 1x1y, 1x1z, and then +1 plus the one we're on +1z. So we could rearrange that to make it a little bit more neat, but for now that'll sum it up. So then so it's going to draw 2 triangles for each of these squares. That's why we're going to 31 is because the final one doesn't have another triangle to draw to. And then this should render basically like a a mesh that's height is randomized. So we're just going to move the camera. So we're going to say transform is transform from translation vec3 y no vec3 1 times I don't know 30 32. So this is just going to move the camera up back and to the left 32, which is just a way of getting it away from 0 0 so that you can actually see anything. And then you always, whenever you're trying to offset the camera by just a fixed amount to try and see something, you don't want to move it like in a single axis, because if you move it like directly up and then make it look at the center, you may have something that's infinitely thin and then you'll see straight down it and you won't actually see it. So I always like offset things to 45 degrees, so it's like up and left and right, just so that like it's looking like across all the axes through 0 0 rather than looking directly down any axis at 0 0. This is just like a good like I practice for if you're like trying to move the camera, like, you know, just to test things. Otherwise you end up with the risk of sometimes you'll move your camera and be like, where's the thing? And it's because you've moved it actually like away. So then I mean like if I was rendering a plane, I may be still on the plane, like in line with the plane, so it's still 0 thickness and I can't see it. So if I move up in all 3, then it means that like no matter what I put there, I'll be able to see it in theory, at least like glance it. And then we're going to .default. But we're also just going to like add the camera plugin. I guess we'll just leave it there. There's default plugins, and then we'll add the editor plugin as well. Bevy editor, please. Editor plugin. Why is this not working? Oh, because it needs to be default. No? Huh. On second monitor full screen. Like that. So this will add the editor windows and plugins and stuff, which kind of makes this a bit redundant because it'll mean that we can actually fly around in a fly cam and therefore see things if they're not in the right spot. We need to add the system spawn map, which is also going to be here. So spawn the map in. So we then want to go mesh dot indices, insert indices, which is going to be an indices. then just indices the vector. Okay. So we insert the indices, and then we say what's it called? Assets dot add, and then we'll add the mesh. But we're gonna go first off. We're gonna go commands dot spawn. I'm gonna say spawn as a PBR bundle with a mesh that is equal to assets, but not equal, assets dot add mesh, and then default close, and now when we run that, we should end up with like a height map. Hopefully, if all works out, we'll have a height map. And once we got something rendering to the screen, I might make it bigger, obviously, because like we can just multiply these by a fixed offset, and that'll make the terrain bigger. Because at the moment the terrain's going to be quite lumpy, because over every 1xy or xz, for every 1 unit moved, it can also move up and down 1 unit, which will make it really spiky. And then the idea is that if we if we multiply this by like 10, then it's for every 10 units, the height can vary by 1 unit up and down. And therefore we'll end up with like a much flatter terrain. And that'll be tied into when our camera that we're going to make moves around. It'll always be a fixed height above the ground. Which, I'm just going to go here and see if Bevy Rapier is updated to the latest version, because I'm going to kind of just get lazy with the Bevy Rapier. Oh, like with my camera, I'm going to use Bevy Rapier for physics rather than trying to come up with my own raycasting algorithm that will raycast into meshes and determine if it hit them. I could always, like, I think there's just a specific raycast plugin, but I'm just going to use the physics for now, and if it works out, it works out. If I come up with a better way before the end of the jam, I'll do that, but it's that whole, it's a jam, so you gotta try and just do what works, as opposed to rather like they're doing like the best approach, like coming up with my own raycasting thing. It's like, oh, okay. So there's a big purple squatch, but weirdly, it's all like the same height. Okay, that's interesting. Well, maybe it's because I'm passing in like literally the minimum possible positive value times like 100 times by 100. That will spread the noise out, hopefully giving us more noise values, like more random. Because I'm using simplex noise, which is like Perlin noise, but you know, like open source or something. I don't remember. Free, unlicensed. It's still not varying by very much, which concerns me into thinking that it's just doing the same thing. What is the minimum positive value? It's a very small number. This is why I was trying to use something like pi, but I couldn't find it. Minimum positive. Is it like F32 math? Math. Okay. We'll just say 3.4159. I'm just trying to offset them because I don't know if simplex noise has the same problem with Perlin noise. One of the big drawbacks with it is that if you use only integer values, you always get the same result, like these sharp cliffs, or at least in Unity's implementation. And I've done it before in this, where you would do the same thing, where you would get like just really spiky stuff. Okay, cool. So that's working. We should probably add an actual like material as well. Yeah, so you'd end up with like these sharp cliffs, like because if you always picked an integer value, you would always land exactly on the gradient line. It meant that you had to like fuzz them just by like a tiny amount, and then multiply that rather than and then use the integer itself, because you just, again, like you'd always hit the same spot on the slope if you're always the same distance from the point. So you needed something that was chaotic. And so that's what I'm doing here, is I'm multiplying by something like pi. So x times pi times 100, and that should move it to somewhere else. I don't think I need the times 100 anymore, because it should just be as noisy. Like no matter where you are in the thing, the noise is the same. Like it's just that you can't use an integer. So x, and then that will always give me the same thing, but multiplying by pi should hopefully give me some kind of chaotic, like they're not going to move. Whereas again, like you don't want to go by like 0.25, because 0.25 means every 4 you're back at a whole integer, so then you'll see like a repeating pattern every 4th. So pi should in theory give you like a nice big number before you get a repeating sequence. So again, simplex noise may work differently and may not actually matter for that anymore, but I'm sure that I've used it before and had that problem. And no, it's green. Okay, no, apparently we can't just do that. We need a standard material. Base color is just color green, and then we should be able to just default the rest. It's probably still going to look really funky because it's unlit, I think is the problem. Like there's literally no light source in the scene, so it's just looking flat. And so when we spawn in the camera, we'll also spawn in all light. Spawn direction light bundle the transform from translation vec3 1 1000 dot looking at 0 vec3 y, and we should be able to default the rest. So a directional light is a light that I don't think matters about the distance, and unlike a floodlight, it doesn't like fan out from the point. It's literally like everything in front of the light is lit as if the light was directly next to it. So the reason we put it 1,000 blocks away is and into the sky is so that like we don't have things clipped behind it all the time, and it's looking at 0, 0 so that it'll light the ground from like an angle like the sun. And then hopefully this will render a nice little patch of grass and we can wrap up for the day, where I basically got nothing done in terms of my plugin. Nope, light's still not working. Let's just get it and go display gizmo somewhere over there. Translation. Well, it doesn't seem to be lighting it at all. Directional light intensity, shadows enabled. Well, that's interesting. Why is it just rendering a flat plane of grass? Oh, because they've got no normals, that's why. We need to How many are there though? Right. So we need to say mesh dot insert attribute mesh attribute normal value is so we need you to be a vec of vec 3y that is 32 times 32 long. Okay, and then we just do this. Oh, there we go. Now apparently the directional light may be too far away or like not pointing sideways enough, because as you can see, like all the ground is just lit evenly. No, surely it should cast shadows though. Why is this mesh not getting shadows? Is it something I need to enable on the mesh itself? Mesh. Standard material. Normal map texture. Occlude texture. Emission base color. Metallic roughness. Depth map. South map. Unlit. Double-sided. I don't see anything that looks like a shadow. Well, we probably want to double-side it though. That's interesting. It's still not working. Like even double-siding it's not double-sided. It's interesting. Yeah, crap. I don't actually know why. Well, that's interesting because it says it points to no asset, but like, well, we can see it. There is distinctly an asset here because it is rendering. So that's confusing. Okay, I don't know what's going on there. We'll just make it way bigger for one thing, and let's go like times 100. Maybe times 10. Times 10. Well, hopefully tomorrow will be more productive in terms of not just like this is what I mean. Like it looks way flatter now. Like we still need some height apparently, but is that because these are so close together? Like if I times this by 10, is it gonna like obviously it's like I said, partly because they're very close together relative to the size of the squares now. But I'm just curious if it's because the samplings are very close together. No, she should just be spiky. So we'll just times that by like 3. We should make it like spiky, but like less spiky, because instead of varying by a huge amount, yeah. So basically, at the moment, it's still varying by the same amount, but because the squares, the triangles are 10 times the size, it doesn't look like it's spiking up and down as much. According to YouTube, my bitrate is 0, so alright, that's bizarre. Okay. We definitely need like greater spikes and variation. But yeah, that's gonna be it for tonight. But hopefully, tomorrow we will actually get a camera working that will basically the idea is that it'll stay like a constant distance above the ground, so that basically as the player moves around, like it'll follow the terrain, and then when you move the camera around, like you can't push the camera under the terrain. And then we'll start adding like implementing some kind of functionality that like when you get it like a notification or like do something that can then like send events like display this to the camera, it'll like draw an arrow saying like here, and when you like have that, when it's off the screen, it'll point to the left of the screen or like whichever way to get it back on the screen, and when it's on the screen, it'll like point in the world where it's going. That's the concept for the plugin at least. So I hope you've all enjoyed the stream. It's been an absolute blast. The people that have been chatting in chat, it's been fun, and I will see you probably tomorrow. Trying to think what time, maybe 12 a.m. UTC. Not quite sure. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.